Chapter 4732. The word king caused Chung Ho's expression to change. He had only retreated a little, but when he heard the word, he stood behind the hill and completely hid his body. In the saint spirit realm, he was an ancient holy sage and belonged to the peak of existence. He rushed to the front in everything. But here, there were too many people who could suppress him, and his combat power was not as good as Zichen's. In the face of greater danger, in Chung Ho's opinion, hiding was the best help for Zichen. When the little snake saw this, a look of disdain flashed in its eyes. This was too disloyal. However, it was also very curious about the existence that had come. The powerful lord from before was obviously very vigilant because of the other party's appearance. A middle-aged man walked out in front. The other party smiled and appeared in Zichen's vision. The other party was one of the 17 kings. Last time, he had bowed to the High King but did not introduce himself, so Zichen did not know his name. "My name is Jipa." The other party looked at Zichen and said, "The protector of my kingdom was killed by you." In front of Zichen, the rules lingered. "Why, are you here to avenge him?" Although it was not clear which protector came from the Jipa kingdom, Zichen did not deny it because all the protectors, regardless of whether he had killed them or not, the origin of the rules had been refined by him alone. "I'm here to ask if you are interested in joining my kingdom," Jipa asked. Zichen shook his head decisively and said, "Not interested." Jipa took a few steps forward, and Zichen began to retreat. Jipa, who had only planned to take a few steps forward, was startled and could only continue forward. Zichen retreated to the side of the hill and then gently knocked a few times on the mountain wall. "Hey, don't play dead. Come out and talk." The little snake, who had already crawled in, could only poke its head out. "My lord, why are you looking for me at this moment of life and death?" Zichen said, "I'll let you out, and you help me kill him." Zichen did not suppress his voice, so Jipa could hear him clearly. He looked at the talking snake, and his expression changed slightly. "My lord, it's not good to joke at this time. Even you can't kill a powerhouse, how can I?" The little black snake hurriedly complained. When it looked at Jipa, it was so scared that it shrank its head. Zichen's expression didn't change as he continued. "If you want me to save you, this is your only chance. Think about it carefully. Don't make a decision so quickly." The little black snake complained again. "My lord, I really don't have this ability. Rather than this, why don't you just kill me directly?" Zichen said helplessly, "Then there's no other way. Look, you missed the best opportunity." Then Zichen looked at Jipa and said, "This little black snake is extremely extraordinary. Now I will let you have it. Compared to the Tao protector, this little black snake is much more important." After saying that, Zichen really started to retreat. "My lord, don't, my lord." The little black snake shouted nervously. Then, when it saw that Zichen didn't respond, it immediately drilled into the bottom of the hill. Whoosh! There was a strong wind ahead, and King Jepa's figure disappeared. The law light shield in front of Zichen began to distort violently, and a strong force emerged in front of him. Zichen's eyes flashed, and he punched forward. The law appeared along with the energy, and Zichen made a powerful blow. Crack! His law defense suddenly shattered at this moment, and a punch came out, and the energy wave shook. Zichen's figure retreated directly behind the hill, and he saw Chung Ho hiding there. He didn't bother to pay attention to the other party, and his eyes were fixed on the front. King Jepa took 3 steps back, and after stabilizing his body, he looked at Zichen with a strange look in his eyes. Zichen cupped his fists and said, "Farewell." After saying that, he immediately retreated. Chung Ho followed without hesitation. The little black snake drilled into the bottom of the hill and didn't show its head again. "Come out." Jepa glanced at the hill and said coldly. For some reason, he didn't chase after Zichen. The little black snake only showed its head. "My lord, this has nothing to do with me. If I save you, can you kill him?" Jeppa asked. My lord, I'm just a little snake. I really don't have that ability. The little black snake showed its little head and said. Then why should I save you? Jeppa said impatiently. What value does a beast like you have to me? My lord, my perception is very sharp, and I can perceive many things that others can't. The little black snake said, for example, that guy who just left. As long as he's still here, even if he hides at the ends of the earth, I can find him. If that's all, you're a snake, not a dog. Jeppa was still dissatisfied. Previously, when he fought with Zi-Chin, although he didn't use his full strength, he believed that Zi-Chin also held back. If they fought, he might win. But if he wanted to kill Zi-Chin, it would be difficult. After all, the identity of a Tao protector was not that simple. Damn idiot, why aren't you the last one? Jeppa cursed angrily and slapped the hill heavily. The hill didn't shake, but a strong force surged and shook him back a few steps. There was a touch of surprise on his face. This hill was very solid. The little black snake said, My lord, I'm also very good at using poison. If I can bite him, he will definitely suffer a fate worse than death. His battle strength will greatly decrease, and then my lord can kill him. Really? Jeppa looked at the little black snake. Absolutely. I can swear that if I can't do it, I will be struck by lightning. The little black snake said solemnly, Good, then I'll let you out. If you can't do it, don't blame me for being impolite. Jeppa said indifferently, Rest assured, my lord. I promise I can do it. The little black snake's expression became excited. Jeppa turned around and began to mobilize the power around him. Accompanied by a strong aura, his palms landed on the hill. He exerted force. Whong! A strong force shook and surged toward the hill. But immediately after, there was an even stronger repulsive force that came from the small mountain, shaking Jeppa away. He retreated more than 10 steps, even more than when he faced Zi-Chen's palm. If it was said that he didn't care before, then now that he had used his full strength, he couldn't help but take it seriously. What is this thing? Jeppa asked. My lord, I don't know. It fell from the sky and smashed me when I went out. The little black snake said with grievance, My lord, you must save me. Jeppa said coldly, How long has it been going on, and how did you survive? I don't see any food here. My lord, I've been trapped here for a long time. I don't need food to live here. I still don't feel hungry. Beast, if you dare to lie to me, you should know the consequences. My lord, I wouldn't dare to lie to you. Jeppa tried a few more times, but he still didn't succeed. He couldn't even move the hill. Finally, he said disdainfully, It seems that this is fate. You are destined to be trapped here until you die. If I can't do anything, then no one in the world can save you. My lord, don't joke around. Would I joke around with a beast? Jeppa smiled disdainfully. You can wait for death here. Chapter 47:33. The cold smile on Jeppa's face froze. Mother are you blind? You don't even recognize your Master Snake? Why are you pretending to be a wolf in front of Master Snake? Dog, I'll F*ck your mother. F*ck your mother. You say your Master Snake is an animal, but don't you realize you're an animal too? The little black snake changed its humble attitude and became much more unreasonable as it cursed loudly. Jeppa stood there motionless, stunned by the sudden cursing. As a king, he had never been treated like this. When Jeppa finally reacted, the little black snake was already scolding him with its spittle flying everywhere. You're courting death. Jeppa was about to go crazy with anger. Light immediately appeared on his body, forming sharp energy blades that cut towards the ground. The little black snake had already drilled in and was cursing loudly at the bottom of the hill. When the attacks landed on the ground, they exploded with clanging sounds and countless sparks flew in all directions. The ground was incomparably sturdy, and Jeppa's attacks could not penetrate it. You're courting death. You're courting death. Jeppa flew into a rage and kept attacking the hill. There was a constant roar between heaven and earth, but the hill did not even tremble. "Grandson, you and I just met. Why don't you call me Grandpa a few times?" As if it felt that Jeepa could no longer do anything to it, the little black snake at the bottom of the hill opened up. "Grandson, you come and judge. Say that your father and your grandfather are racing, and this beast is acting as the judge. Who do you think won? You're courting death." "Yes, that's what the referee animal said." "Ah, I'm so angry." Jeepa kept throwing punches, but the hill did not move. The little black snake kept cursing loudly. "Grandson, don't blame Grandpa for not warning you. If you continue to attack when you're exhausted, maybe that guy will come again. If he takes the chance to kill you, don't blame Grandpa for not warning you." The little black snake laughed proudly. "How is it? See if your grandpa's thinking is fast." Jeepa was so angry that smoke was coming out of his head, but the other's words reminded him that it was not a wise decision to waste his energy here. He gritted his teeth and said angrily, "You little bastard, just you wait. This king will definitely skin you alive." Jeepa turned around and left. As a king, he still had some rationality. "Grandson, are you really going to leave just like that? Grandpa was just joking with you. Don't leave. Grandpa will look down on you if you leave." Little Black Snake's entire body was exposed. He shouted at Jeepa, "Grandson, if you want to leave, Grandpa will look down on you. No, if you want to leave, Grandpa will think highly of you." However, no matter what the Little Black Snake said, Gapa did not stop. In fact, in order to not listen to the Little Black Snake's trash talk, he leaped and disappeared in a few flashes. "Bah! Mother asterisk her! How dare you show off in front of Grandpa with such lousy strength?" The Little Black Snake spat on the ground, looking very disdainful. After scolding enough, the Little Black Snake was satisfied and went back into the small mountain. In the distance, Zichen and Cheng Ho were walking towards them. "Did you see that? I wasn't just playing with it. That small mountain is really strange." The two of them had seen the previous scene. Now that they saw Jeepa leave, they walked back. Arriving at the side of the small mountain, Zichen knocked on the mountain wall. Other than the abnormality that occurred when he first touched the mountain wall, nothing else happened after that. Even when he touched it with his hand, Little Black Snake poked his head out. When he saw Zichen, his eyes immediately lit up with hope. "My lord, save me," Zichen said indifferently. "You don't pretend to be so pitiful. Didn't you have a lot of fun scolding Jeepa earlier?" Little Black Snake immediately said with righteous indignation, "Isn't that because that old bastard was rude to my lord? He didn't even take a piss and look at himself. What kind of virtue is he to dare attack my lord? He's really tired of living. My lord, don't worry. If that old bastard dares to come again, I promise that I can use this mouth of mine to scold him to death." Little Black Snake swore solemnly. Zichen knocked on the mountain wall and said, If you really wanted him to die, you wouldn't have reminded him earlier. That guy really did lose his mind. He must have never experienced such humiliation in his life. So, if you hadn't reminded him, he might have used up all his strength and been killed by me." Zichen sighed and said, "What a pity. You don't want him to die. You're pinning your hopes on him, hoping that he can come again next time." "My lord, please understand. I really didn't mean that," Little Black Snake said, feeling wronged. Cheng Ho asked curiously, "Why didn't you scold us like you did to Jeepa? It's obvious that we can't help you." "My lord, what are you saying? That old bastard just now was just a bastard. He can't be considered human. He didn't respect me, so of course I don't have to respect him. But the two of you have been very good to me. How could I speak rudely to the two of you?" Little Black Snake laughed and said, "My lord, don't you think so?" Zichen glanced at Little Black Snake. The other party's intelligence was beyond imagination. It could be said that he was a cunning old fox. "I heard some movement here just now. I didn't expect you to be here." Another voice sounded. Another king had appeared. Zi Chen looked at the other party. When this king had first come in, he had specially glanced at him. Cheng Ho retreated again, trying not to cause trouble for Zi Chen. Zi Chen's body was surrounded by the light of power. He was in a state of alert. Don't be nervous. I'm only here to ask you about Xiangling's situation. The king said, I'm guessing that she must have gone to find you to discuss cooperation. But I'm not sure if you'll agree to cooperate with her or kill her. Zichen said, What if I kill her? The king said, Then you'll have one more enemy. I'll do my best to kill you. Maybe not now, but as long as there's a chance, I'll kill you. Zichen said with interest, Others care about my identity, but you care about Xiangling's life and death. Interesting. The king said, That's because others have big goals. But I just want to live well. Even if I stay in this world, it's actually quite good. I don't believe that. All Tao protectors are just tools or springboards in your eyes. Zi Chen snorted. The king turned around and left. Why are you leaving? Don't you want to know about Xiangling's life and death? Looking at your expression, I know that she's still alive. She's born with sharp senses and doesn't do things blindly. She's very calm. This time, I still believe in her because she believes in you. Chapter 47:34. This king left a sentence and then left. The other party's action was unusual, but it also let Zi Chen see that not all kings were interested in his origin law. Zi Chen watched the king leave without introducing himself, and a smile gradually appeared on his face. It seemed that there were interesting people in every world. Sir, save me. The little black snake's voice sounded again. I don't have that ability. Zi Chen glanced at the little black snake and said, We will withdraw soon, and it won't be long before that guy comes back. It seems that I have to congratulate you in advance on your successful escape. Zi Chen smiled, and then left under the little black snake's pleading. Sir, don't go, sir. Zi Chen walked away, but the little black snake's voice still didn't stop. That old beast can't save me. Only Sir can save me. Sir, save me. Zi Chen and Cheng Ho left, still moving in the original direction. Along the way, they still killed pythons when they saw them. What do you think of that little snake? The bored Cheng Ho asked. It's hard to say, but it shouldn't be simple. Zi Chen stretched out his hand and caught a flying inner core. Let's not talk about whether Jipa has a way to save him. If he really let it out, since it dared to treat Jipa with that attitude, it naturally isn't afraid of Jipa. There was another sentence that Zi Chen didn't say, because it was only a guess at the moment. If he wanted to be sure, he would need to walk more and see more. So far, there were no other dangers on this floor, so it was very easy. It was so easy that Zi Chen had the idea of going deeper, because it was very likely that the passage to the second floor was in the depths. The king and Lei Jinka walked in the opposite direction of Zi Chen. Along the way, they encountered those little snakes, but other than the protectors killing them, the two didn't do anything. The demons who had come with the High King had already entered the depths of the forest. As they moved forward, the honored king asked curiously, Sir, are you not worried about Zi Chen's life at all? As they traveled together, the revered king found out that the two of them were from the same clan. At first, he was very surprised. No matter what, he is still a Tao protector. It shouldn't be that easy for something to happen to him, Lei Jinka said coolly. That's hard to say. After all, some kings look at him differently. The honorable king said. Lei Jinka smiled and said, Although this junior of mine is a little stubborn, and no one can persuade him once he has made up his mind. However, when it comes to understanding life and death, there are few who can compare to him. Oh, why do you have so much confidence in him? The revered king smiled. He has too much experience in turning danger into safety, so he naturally believes in it. The Tao protector returned after killing a few pythons. He glanced at Lei Jinka. His expression didn't change, but he was unconvinced. This existence, who was called Sir by the revered king, wasn't that strong. He didn't know why the revered king respected him so much. However, if the Tao protector called Zichen was strong, he didn't agree at all. He didn't show it, but he warned himself in his heart that if Zichen dared to provoke him, it would be his death. After walking for a while, Lei Jinka said, "It seems like this world is going to be like this. Let's go deeper." The revered king didn't have any objections. The three of them were still moving forward, but they began to change their direction slightly. "You too, you must help me." Jipa looked at the two kings in front of him and said. After leaving that area, he came to look for reinforcements. With his level of existence, he naturally looked for people of the same level. Thinking about that despicable little black snake, his heart was filled with anger. He swore to kill it. He had never been humiliated like this before. He was even willing to give up Zichen, his Tao protector's origin of the natural order. The two kings fell into deep thought and didn't respond immediately. Jipa continued, "I'll say it again. After you help me get that little bastard out, I'll accompany you to kill Zichen. As for the origin of the natural order, I don't want any. You two can divide it however you want. Right now, I just want that little bastard to die." Seeing that the two still didn't agree, Jipa continued, "I know where Zichen is. I'll definitely be able to find him. As for whether you can kill him or not, it'll depend on your abilities. Guqing, if you miss this opportunity, then you'll be suppressed by Geduin for a long time. After all, he's your neighbor. You're the first one to come into contact with him." Jipa said, "So before he comes to take Zichen's life, you have to act first. After all, this is your only chance." Guqing and Geduin were neighbors. One of the entrances to the inverted world was the border between the two countries. "Okay." Guqing nodded and looked at the king beside him. "Getten, what about you?" King Getten smiled faintly and said, "Then let's go take a look." The three of them, plus dozens of demons, once again set off in the direction of the little black snake. When the little black snake saw the group, he shouted excitedly, "Old bastard, you're here to see Grandpa again. Long time no see. Grandpa missed you so much." The two kings, Guqing and Getten, had a strange expression. They looked at Jipa's pale face and seemed to understand why he was so persistent. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One attack after another shot forward. Seeing this, the little black snake immediately burrowed into the small mountain, causing all the attacks to miss. "Grandson, Grandpa missed you so much, and this is how you repay Grandpa?" The little black snake's voice sounded again. "This is the place. Everyone, let's work together to push this big rock away," Jipa said as he came closer. "Jipa, grandson, you're really unfilial. Do you think a mere rock can trap your grandpa? This is a mountain, a big mountain." Clearly, the little black snake was deliberately angering Jipa, worried that he wouldn't use his full strength. "You're courting death. When I catch you, I'll make you into a stew and drink it." Jipa gritted his teeth and said, "Everyone stand on one side and push forward." Getten said, "There's no need for so many people, right? Many hands make light work." Jipa was the first to put his hands on the small mountain. Then the demons that followed him followed suit. Seeing this, Gutan waved his hand and the other demons immediately came forward. Other than Gutan and King Giching, the rest of the demons were ready. The next moment, Jipa shouted, "Everyone use your full strength." A tyrannical aura surged in this small place, forming a strong wind that swept into the distance. Chapter 4735. A powerful aura surged, forming a hurricane. A king and dozens of demons working together. This was an unimaginable power. King Giching and Getten did not care too much. This kind of power was enough for them to do whatever they wanted. Not to mention a mere rock. Even if it was a mountain, it would be able to move it away. But the black rock, under such a huge force, did not move at all, not even the slightest tremble. The two kings, watching from the side, could not help but change their expressions. "Grandson, the helpers you called, did they not eat?" "Oh, Grandpa forgot you don't need to eat." The little black snake did not forget to add fuel to the fire. "Don't just stand there, come help." Jeepa looked back at the two kings. The two nodded and walked forward with a dignified expression. Then the three kings and the demons worked together, but the effect was still the same. The big rock did not move. After pushing a few times without any reaction, they discussed lifting the small mountain, but still did not succeed. King Giching looked at Jeepa and asked, "What is this thing? Why is it like this?" Jeepa shook his head. "You ask me, who should I ask?" Getten said, "We can't move it, we can't move it. What do you think?" King Giching looked at the ground and said, "Why don't we try digging the ground?" "The ground is also strange, it is very hard." Jeepa pointed at his feet and said, "If you don't believe me, you can try." Then they all attacked. The attacks landed on the ground, but did not cause any damage. Instead, sparks flew. The hardness of this place was beyond everyone's imagination. They began to look around, and then found the layout of this place was very unusual. Jeepa looked at King Giching and said, "Take out your weapon and kill it." King Giching turned around and looked at Jeepa. Jeepa said again, "This is the only way. If we try it, it might work." King Giching was a little reluctant. True weapons were extremely rare in this strange world. Every single one of them was left behind by its previous owner. To be able to obtain a sword, other than having extraordinary strength, one also had to rely more on luck. Giching's luck could be said to be heaven-defying. He obtained a sword. There was also a knife, which was obtained by Getten. Perhaps the other 16 kings all had weapons, but not everyone had a weapon left behind by their master. Under everyone's expectant gazes, Giching took out a sword. The sword light was extremely bright, and the sword intent soared into the sky. Countless ripples surged out. The little snake stuck its head out and looked at the radiant sword. Its expression changed. "Soaring sky," it muttered in a low voice that only it could hear. It continued to drill into the ground. The others immediately dispersed. Gu Pa and Gu Tan looked at the sword, their eyes twinkling with envy. The two of them did not have such a weapon. King Giching slashed down with his sword, and a bright sword light landed on the black hill. The crisp sound reverberated through the mountains, bringing with it layers of ripples of sword intent, causing the demons to retreat once again. King rarely made a move, and it was even rarer for him to use his weapon. Therefore, everyone's eyes were wide open, looking forward to the power of this sword. It shouldn't be a problem to split this small mountain into two. However, when the sword light disappeared and the ripples dissipated, everyone saw that the small mountain was still motionless. There was only a shallow white mark where the sword light landed. How is this possible? King Giching, who was very confident in his sword, had a look of disbelief on his face when he saw this scene. This small mountain was so sturdy that his weapon could not break it. One must know that their master was an invincible existence back then. Was there anything that their master's weapon could not cut open? "Grandsons, Grandpa is tired. Get out of here." The little black snake lying on the ground was rather powerless. No one knew if it was because it could not see any hope or because of other reasons. "Get out, all of you get out." The little black snake felt weak and did not even have the strength to scold. However, it was this indifferent attitude that made everyone angry. However, the little black snake was hiding underground, and it was extremely difficult to kill it. "Why don't we go find the king?" Gu Pa suggested. He had a great obsession with killing the little black snake. "Are you crazy?" King Giching looked at Gu Pa. "If the king comes and sees this guy, can you and I bear the consequences?" This was indeed a problem. How noble was the king? Once the little black snake started scolding, how would they deal with it? "Forget it. Let's go find Zichin directly," Gu Tan said, obviously not intending to pay attention to the little black snake. Seeing that the two had made up their minds, Gupa rubbed his chin and said, "All right, I can point you in the direction of Zichin. Next, I will go find the king alone and tell him the truth. I think, based on the value of this stone, the king should not mind the rudeness of such a small thing." After saying this, Gupa turned and left. The few demons he brought with him left with him. King Geching and Gu Tan looked at each other and saw the worry in each other's eyes. They had seen this stone before. It was heavy and sturdy enough. Obviously, it was a rare treasure. If the king came and took it away, not only would there be many benefits, it would also be a great merit. As for the talkative little black snake, as long as they told the king in advance about its character, he would be mentally prepared. With this thought in mind, the two of them turned back and followed Jipa. Gupa smiled. As expected, they weren't willing to give up this opportunity that could be a credit to him alone. Gupa also did not want to enjoy this opportunity alone, because it was very likely not an opportunity. As Zichin and Cheng Ho were moving forward, they suddenly felt a sharp sword intent coming from far behind them. The two immediately turned and stared into the distance. It's the little black snake's direction. It should be the reinforcements brought by Gupa after feeling the powerful sword intent gradually dissipating. Cheng Ho said in a low voice. Zichin nodded slightly. That sword intent was very strong. It should have been the king's doing. In fact, he had seen a king use a weapon before, but at that time, the two sides were very far away. In addition, Zichen's realm was low, so he did not know how powerful that attack was. But this time, because of the increase in his realm, even if it was far away, he could feel the power of that sword. It should be able to threaten him. Zichen did not know whether the little snake was killed or not, but he knew that if that weapon was used against him, it would be endless trouble. So he who originally wanted to walk further away immediately decided to go deeper. Chapter 47:36. After hearing about the little black snake, the honorable king, who had entered the depths of the cave, returned out of curiosity. When he arrived in front of the small mountain, he went forward to examine it. Lei Jinka stood at the side and watched quietly. The little black snake was hiding at the bottom of the small mountain. For some reason, it did not curse. It was silent and did not appear. Before the honorable king came, he had already understood the other party's nature. Therefore, when he did not see the little black snake, he did not say anything. After examining it for a while, the honorable king did not see anything special. He took a few steps back and gestured for Lei Jinka to come over and take a look. Lei Jinka didn't stand on ceremony. He walked forward and touched the small black mountain, occasionally tapping it a few times. After a while, he said, "If I'm not wrong, this small mountain should be an item similar to a magic treasure." When the others heard this, their expressions changed. Although they had such guesses before, they were only guesses. However, Lei Jinka's words pointed it out. "What is a magic treasure?" The honorable king asked. Although he guessed that this small mountain was not ordinary, he did not know how extraordinary it was. It's something that is refined by humans. Lei Jinka thought for a while and said, "It's like the rare weapons you have here. However, the grade of this thing is much higher than weapons." For a moment, everyone's eyes burned with passion. How do we refine it and use it? The honorable king asked again. His emotions were fluctuating. Lei Jinka shook his head and said, "I'm not sure. Maybe we have to release the thing below first before we can refine it. It could also be other methods. However, it's obviously not possible now." Lei Jinka knocked on the small mountain and said, "Little thing, come out. What's the point of hiding inside? Grandson, you brought reinforcements again? Why? Do you want to release your grandfather so much?" The little black snake's voice rang out. Then it crawled out from the ground. It was the honorable king's first time seeing the little black snake. His eyes were filled with curiosity. "Don't talk nonsense. Tell me how we can release you," Lei Jinka said calmly. "Which grandson are you?" Does grandfather know you? The little black snake stared at Lezhinka. Lezhinka's expression did not change at all in the face of the little black snake's trash talk. His voice was still calm as he said, "Your provocation is meaningless. Tell me how we can release you. Perhaps we will give it a try." The little black snake said sarcastically, "You haven't even tried. How do you know you can't let your grandfather out?" Lezhinka ignored the little black snake. Instead, he looked at Jipa and asked, "King Jipa, you said that you saw Zichin here when you came here?" Jipa King nodded. "That's right." "Don't you think this little thing is quite polite to Zichin?" "Yes." Lezhinka said, "Could it be that it saw through Zichen's identity as a guardian?" He turned his head and looked at the last Tao protector in the group. "You're also a Tao protector. Why don't you come and try?" During this time, he glanced at the little black snake and discovered that the look in its eyes had changed. The protector looked at the honored king. Even though he was very excited because there was a great possibility that he could obtain this treasure, he was still very confident. The honorable king nodded and signaled for the other party to give it a try. The Tao protector walked closer and placed his hands on the small mountain. Then he activated the power of laws. Everyone was watching quietly with different expressions. A miracle did not happen. As a Tao protector, he was unable to move the small mountain. It was very regrettable. Lezhinka's expression was very calm. It was as if he had already guessed this. "Get lost, grandson." The little black snake scolded again. The Tao protector was enraged. Rays of power appeared and slashed at the little black snake. The other party directly drilled into the bottom of the small mountain and then began to curse. "Sir, what should we do now?" The honorable king looked at Lezhinka. Lezhinka said, "Let's go. It proves that we are not fated with it." The honorable king was a little surprised. Under normal circumstances, shouldn't he be the one to try? After all, he was the honorable king, the most powerful existence in this strange world. The others were the same. After all, after coming here, they had great hopes for the honorable king. How could the honorable king not try and let the weaker Tao protector try once and then leave? There's no need to try. It's fine if it doesn't succeed. If it really succeeds, I don't think many of us here will survive. Lezhinka looked at the doubts in everyone's eyes and gave a simple explanation. Everyone was very puzzled. Lezhinka pointed at the little snake below and said, "There are so many of us here, and this little guy dares to speak so rudely. Either it's determined that we won't be able to get it out, or it has great confidence that it will kill us after it comes out." Everyone's expression changed. They all looked at the bottom of the small mountain. Unknowingly, the little black snake had poked its head out again. Lezhinka squatted down and looked at the little snake. "Little guy, am I right?" "Grandson, Grandpa doesn't know what you're talking about." The little black snake stared into Lezhinka's eyes and said rudely. Lezhinka smiled and said, "I'm guessing that Zichen didn't even try to save you, right? It's not that he knows that he won't be able to save you. It's that he can't be sure if he can suppress you after saving you." Lezhinka stood up and sighed. "After all, this is the pagoda of confinement. Prison means prison. And you, this little snake that doesn't seem to be a threat, could very well be the existence that's suppressed here." Hearing Lezhinka's words, everyone took a few steps back. When they looked at the little black snake again, their expressions were much more serious. "You don't have to think of a reason to refute me. In any case, we won't save you. Perhaps it's because we don't have enough power. Even if we do, we won't save you." Lezhinka smiled and said, "So, you should continue to guard your secret and wait for the next wave of people to come. I don't think there will be a next wave of people. In countless years, the pagoda of confinement has only appeared once." With that, Lezhinka turned around and left. He was very decisive. The little black snake stared at Lezhinka's back, its eyes flashing. The others looked at each other, not knowing what to do. Let's go. The honored king waved his hand. Right now, he wanted to give it a try. But if what Lei Jinke said was true, what should he do? After releasing the other party, how should he suppress it? After some hesitation, the honored king decided to leave. If this pagoda of confinement was left behind by his master, then suppressing this existence here meant that his master couldn't kill it. Even his master couldn't kill it. What more them? The honored king never thought that he was stronger than his master. If he was stronger than his master, he wouldn't have been trapped here for so many years without being able to leave. Just as everyone entered the pagoda of confinement, Lei Di once again appeared outside the pagoda. At this moment, the pagoda's door was already open. However, when he tried to enter, he still failed. A unique power of the natural order stopped him from moving forward. At the same time, Zichen also reached the entrance to the second level and prepared to enter. A sharp aura suddenly attacked from afar, heading straight for Zichen. Chapter 47:37. Facing this sudden attack, a light shield formed by laws appeared in front of Zichen, blocking in front of him. The next moment, the light shield collapsed, and Zichen's figure retreated. He stood 10 feet away, staring coldly in front of him where a group of people appeared. The leader was a king, followed by more than a dozen demons. They don't come with good intentions. I'll retreat first. Seeing this scene, Cheng Ho took the initiative to retreat, not forgetting to greet Zichen. Zichen didn't have time to pay attention to Cheng Ho. Originally, everyone elected him to be a shield for Zichen because Cheng Ho's skin was thick and tough. But who would have thought that this shield would retreat first when there was danger without the slightest awareness? You want to die? Zichen's eyes narrowed slightly, and infinite killing intent emerged from his eyes. This sentence should be given to you. The king smiled coldly. If you don't leave behind the origin of the law today, you can't leave. Then let's see who will die. Zichen smiled coldly and took the initiative to rush forward, wanting to resist these powerhouses with his own strength. You don't know the meaning of death. The king waved his hand directly, and more than a dozen demons rushed forward. With the protection of laws, Zichen approached in an instant and punched a demon back. Then his figure flickered, avoiding several attacks, and once again approached another demon. He punched out a second time. Boom! 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 The demons were repelled by Zichen one after another. The king in a green robe stood in the distance and watched, looking at his subordinates who were almost unable to withstand a single blow, and looking at the law surging around Zichen. A smile gradually appeared on his face. Not bad at all. He was very satisfied. Zichen in this realm already had such combat strength. Once he obtained the origin of the law, wouldn't he be even more powerful? Let's wear him down first. He wasn't in a hurry. Although these demons couldn't withstand a single blow, they could still exhaust a portion of Zichen's strength. He looked into the distance and saw the guy who came with Zichen standing there. As the two of them looked at each other, Cheng Ho greeted the green-robed king kindly. The green-robed king smiled disdainfully. He didn't care about demons of this level at all. As time passed, the cyan-robed king gradually lost his patience when he saw that there was not much change in the battle. Go all out. His voice turned cold. At the same time, the power around him began to circulate. He was planning to attack. He did not have the habit of fighting alone because there was no need to. Disperse. After getting ready, he uttered a single word, and all the demons scattered to the sides, making a straight path towards Zichen. Cheng Ho's expression changed slightly, but he did not step forward. The green-robed king disappeared. Only a ray of green light could be seen approaching Zichen. Then a dazzling fist filled the sky and fell on his head. Zichen shouted as he crossed his arms to block the incoming attack. Countless precepts surged from all directions, forming a precept protection in front of him. Inside the precept protection, there was also Zichen's boundless power. Boom! The fist fell, and the powerful shock wave caused Zichen's body to slide backward. The rule shield in front of him directly collapsed. As he fell back, blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. This attack caused his internal organs to be severely shaken. "You're injured just like that?" Again, the green-robed king's voice sounded in Zichen's ears. Then an even more powerful aura surged out. With a second huge shock, Zichen's body slid back again. Then a third punch and a fourth punch. In the distance, Chang Ho looked at the battle in front of him with a serious expression. The king was very powerful, at least in this world. If he returned to the saint's spirit realm, he would be even more powerful. Fortunately, Zichen was not weak either. With the help of the rules of heaven and earth, he was able to block the opponent's attacks. After a dozen punches, the green-robed king retreated and stood in the distance. Zichen retreated again. After stabilizing his body, he coughed up a mouthful of blood. However, it was only a light injury. The flowing rules would quickly heal the injury. "Not bad. I'm even more satisfied." The green-robed king looked at Zichen and said with satisfaction and confidence, "I want your rules." A sword appeared in his hand. The sword was very sharp. The moment it appeared, Zichen felt a strong sense of vigilance in his heart. "This sword is called Flying Knight. I refined it with great care. It has extraordinary power." The green-robed king held the sword and stabbed forward. A straight sword light flew towards Zichen. Before the sword light arrived, the sword intent had already arrived. Zichen felt that there were countless sword chi around him. It was as if he moved, he would be pierced by thousands of arrows. At this moment, he felt like a prisoner who had been tied up and was about to be beheaded. This thought flashed through his mind, but Zichen did not stop. He still used the rules that he was best at. They came from all directions and protected his body. Then, a short sword appeared and blocked in front of him. Although it was not big, it was enough to block the sword light. Clang! A loud clang sounded and a powerful ripple spread out. Zichen's body was directly sent flying. When he landed, the short sword fell beside him. Zichen picked up the short sword and looked at it. Fortunately, it was not broken. This made him feel slightly relieved. "Not bad. You actually blocked my sword." The green-robed king in the distance held the Flying Knight sword and smiled. "Then look at this sword. I call it Flying Knight sword." Wang. The long sword trembled. The green-robed king moved forward as one with the sword. The speed of this sword was even faster and more swift. Zichen activated the rules again to protect his body. At this moment, the green-robed king suddenly stretched out his left hand. "I also know the rules of the king, which you don't know. Disperse." As the indifferent voice sounded, a hole suddenly appeared in the rules of Zichen's defense. A part of the rules lost control. Then the long sword approached and came down. The short sword in Zichen's hand was immediately sent flying. At the same time, the Flying Knight sword approached and stabbed into Zichen's chest. When Chang Ho saw this scene, his expression changed greatly and he immediately rushed over. "Go! Retreat!" Zichen, who was bleeding from the corner of his mouth, shouted these two words. His voice was heavy and his will was firm. Chang Ho did not understand. But then he saw the flying short sword turn into a stream of light and go straight for the green-robed king. The green-robed king sneered and waved his hand to form a shield. On the shield, there was the rules that Zichen was familiar with. This was the rules of the king. The short sword that was supposed to be close suddenly changed direction and then rushed at the approaching demons at the fastest speed. Pooh! 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 The sound of the short sword piercing into the body was continuously heard. Demons fell one after another. The green-robed king's expression changed. Zichen, who was bleeding from the corner of his mouth, smiled sinisterly. Chapter 4738. As the short sword suddenly swept forward, one demon after another fell. They had all been paying attention to the battle between Zi Chen and the king. They had never thought that in the face of such a life-or-death crisis, Zi Chen would still have the energy to scheme against them. Because they were caught off guard, and because Zi Chen was strong, none of the demons were able to escape. In the blink of an eye, everyone fell and died. The short sword turned into a streak of light and returned to Zi Chen's side. The moment the cyan-robed king was distracted, Zi Chen retreated, and the cloud-soar sword also left his body. Streaks of precepts appeared around him, healing Zi Chen's injuries. The cyan-robed king looked at the corpses of the demons, and the confidence on his face disappeared. He looked at Zi Chen coldly. Chang Ho had already run away when he saw Zi Chen attack the demons. If he did not run now, the cloud-soar sword might target him. The precepts covered his wounds and began to heal them. Zi Chen sensed that some of the precepts had lost control and were not very obedient. However, he did not care at all, because he had already guessed the reason. The other precepts were still loyal subordinates, healing Zi Chen's injuries as quickly as possible. The king's precepts are what you rely on. Zi Chen looked at him. Unfortunately, they still can't kill me. Now that you are a general without an army, it will be even harder for you to kill me. Of course, I admit that I am still not your match. However, if you want to kill me, it will be almost impossible. This was what Zi Chen was relying on. He admitted that he could not defeat the cyan-robed king, but it would be extremely difficult for the cyan-robed king to kill him. Earlier, he had let Cheng Ho leave because he did not want the cyan-robed king to vent his anger on Cheng Ho when he could not do anything to him. Why aren't you making a move? Zi Chen looked at him and smiled. If you still don't make a move, my injuries will recover. The look in the cyan-robed king's eyes changed. Boundless killing intent surged in his eyes. Zi Chen then pointed at the corpses on the ground and said, I say, these should be your subordinates. Don't you need to bury them? Isn't there a saying, rest in peace after death? Humph. The cyan-robed king snorted and turned to leave. This time he had miscalculated. It seemed that it would be extremely difficult to suppress the other party with just a single ruler's law. As Zi Chen watched the cyan-robed king leave, he was overjoyed. These were all demons, and those jade bones were all good stuff. Zi Chen sensed that the cyan-robed king, who had not bothered to hide himself, was already far away. Immediately, he stepped forward and used the power of laws to disintegrate the demon's body, collecting the jade bones one by one. After putting away the jade bone, Zi Chen took out his short sword. Although the short sword did not shatter from the previous attack, he could sense its shortcomings. Compared to the flying knight sword from before, the quality of the short sword was still slightly inferior. Otherwise, the cyan-robed king would not have abandoned the jade bones and left. Obviously, the jade bones were no longer effective against the flying knight sword. After collecting the spoils of war, Zi Chen walked in the direction that Cheng Ho had fled. He did not go directly to the second level. Not long after, he found Cheng Ho sitting on a big rock in a daze. Hearing the commotion, he turned around and asked, Did you beat him away? Zi Chen said, I don't have that ability. He knew he couldn't kill me, so he left. Cheng Ho jumped down from the rock. Now, are we going to the second level directly? Zi Chen shook his head. No, let's go back first. Why are we going back? Cheng Ho was confused. Let's get rid of the protector next to the High King first. I need his origin of law. Otherwise, I might really be killed by the kings here. Last time he had exchanged a blow with Jipa and felt that he was on par with Jipa. However, after a real battle this time, he realized the gap between him and the kings. And the biggest reason why they were able to survive was because of the ubiquitous rules. Therefore, Zi Chen needed to complete the law. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. Cheng Ho said, But with the High King here, how are you going to kill that protector? Zi-Chen was prepared. He said, "I'll deliberately release the power of law to provoke him. He has long wanted to kill me. After sensing my aura, he'll definitely come over. Will it work? Let's try. What if we succeed?" Zi-Chen and Cheng Ho began to return. During this time, Zi-Chen deliberately released the aura of law. It was full of provocation. Perhaps others could not sense it, but as a protector, he could definitely sense it clearly. In the end, the High King chose to give up and did not try. The group went deeper. However, not long after, the protector's expression changed. A hint of anger appeared on his face, and at the same time, killing intent surged. The High King glanced at him. The protector glanced at Lei Jinke and said, "That Zi-Chen has been provoking me." Oh, the High King was a little curious. He then looked at Lei Jinke and asked, "Sir, do you know what this means?" Lei Jinke said calmly, "It's nothing more than losing a fight and wanting to become stronger." The meaning of this sentence was very obvious. The protector heard it and said angrily, "I let him go last time, but he still doesn't know what's good for him." The High King asked again, "Sir, what do you mean?" "I won't interfere in this matter. I don't have the ability to interfere, right?" Lei Jinke smiled. "The children have grown up and have their own ideas. We can't control them." The High King nodded, understanding Lei Jinke's meaning. He then looked at the protector and said, "You deal with this matter yourself. If possible, spare his life." "Yes, sir." A sinister smile appeared on the protector's face. He had been waiting for this day for a long time. He knew that the High King was actually very happy to see this scene because, once he refined all the origin of the laws, it would be equivalent to his perception of the laws increasing again. Perhaps he would be able to lead everyone out of this place smoothly. After receiving the order, the protector rushed towards the place where the provocation came from. Then he found that he was actually moving backwards, as if he was returning to the original path. Zi-Chen released his aura to provoke as he began to return. In the end, he arrived in front of the small mountain again. When the little black snake saw Zi-Chen appear, it was excited as if it had seen a relative. Zi-Chen asked, "Have they all been here?" "Yes, they've all been here. But those bastards don't have the ability to save Grandpa. No, save this little one." The little black snake flattered, "Sir, you're still the most capable. Sir, quickly save this little one. I want to save you too, but I don't have the ability. I was ambushed earlier and just recovered from my injuries. Since others can't save you, even the High King can't, how can I save you?" Zi-Chen spread his hands helplessly, then turned around and looked ahead. Chapter 4739. The protector quickly approached. Before he even arrived, a voice could be heard. "You've got guts. You actually dared to provoke me." Zi-Chen listened to the voice and said, "Has he tried?" The little black snake said, "Truthfully, he has tried, but he's also a useless person. Today, he dares to find trouble with you. He's simply courting death." Zi-Chen nodded slightly. It seemed that it had nothing to do with the Tao Protector's identity. The Tao Protector approached and happened to hear the little black snake's words. His gaze became even colder as he looked at Zi-Chen. "Is this the place of death you chose for yourself?" Zi-Chen stretched out his hand and hooked his finger at the other party. "Cut the crap. Come over if you have the ability. You're courting death." Laws gathered in the surroundings, forming rays of sword light that pierced straight towards Zi-Chen. A strange look appeared in Zi-Chen's eyes. He also mobilized the laws to form a shield in front of him. Under normal circumstances, a battle between Tao Protectors would suppress the laws. After all, with the laws, everyone was almost immortal. Zi-Chen had a deep understanding of this. Otherwise, the previous king would not have retreated. However, the existence in front of him did not suppress the laws to fight. This surprised Zi-Chen. Sword lights kept appearing, but they were blocked by the shield. Countless power lights sputtered out. The Tao Protector stood in the distance and smiled. Do you know why I didn't suppress the laws to deal with you? Because in terms of pure use of laws, you're no match for me at all. As soon as he said that, the number of sword lights suddenly doubled. They were more dense and powerful. Zichen mobilized even more power to form a shield in front of him, blocking this round of attacks. Actually, you can try to suppress my laws and see if you can succeed. The Tao Protector still had a smile on his face. As he spoke, the number of sword lights increased again. Zichen tried to suppress the other party with the laws so that neither of them could use the laws to fight, but he did not succeed. His expression changed. In my eyes, you're just a small soldier. What right do you have to order me around? The Tao Protector sneered and walked forward. Moreover, there's a clear gap between you and me in the use of laws. This gap is fatal on the battlefield. Boom! The sword light in front of him suddenly became violent, like a storm hitting Zichen's defense. Zichen's shield dimmed visibly and then collapsed. Zichen's body was pushed back by the sword lights. The little black snake revealed its head and looked at this scene with a look of surprise in its eyes. This guy who didn't look like much actually suppressed the Tao Protector. Zhong Hao stood far away and watched this scene. His expression did not change much. If Zichen did not have confidence, he would not have taken the initiative to provoke the opponent. Zichen's white robes were stained with blood. The laws were rapidly healing his injuries. He retreated to the side of the small mountain and looked forward. The Tao Protector walked toward him. Although the sword lights had disappeared, there were still countless laws revolving around his body, showing a fierce aura. The laws you've mastered are not complete. How dare you provoke me? If you're not courting death, what are you? As soon as he finished speaking, the laws turned into sword lights again and appeared around the Tao Protector. This time, there were tens of thousands of sword lights, densely packed. The Tao Protector snorted, and the sword lights moved forward. Zichen immediately mobilized the laws to defend himself against the sword lights. The Tao Protector didn't expect the sword lights to kill Zichen. After the sword lights went away, he raised his hand and pointed at the sky. The laws gathered in his hand and turned into a sword of laws. At the same time, he raised his other hand and a real sword of laws appeared. The Honorable King is still waiting for me to report back, so I won't waste time with you here. I'll finish you with one move. His left and right hands closed in the middle at the same time. The two different swords of laws began to tremble violently as they got closer and closer. The sound of the swords rang out one after another. The Tao Protector's face gradually turned pale. It was obvious that this action consumed a lot of his energy. With a loud shout, the two swords came together and fused. Sword intent rushed into the sky, stirring up countless ripples. A powerful aura spread out, attracting the attention of many existences. The demons felt a strong threat of death from that aura. They didn't dare to go near to investigate. As for the kings, they guessed what happened, but they all chose to remain silent. They didn't care about the former Tao Protector. At most, he was an immortal existence, and his combat power wasn't that strong. However, with the appearance of this inverted world, they had the opportunity to advance and become the Tao Protector after the demons. They could be described as terrifying. The Tao Protector, next to the Honorable King, was undoubtedly the most terrifying. Zichen's defense was broken by the sword rain. When he looked up, he saw the fused sword of laws. With the threat of death in his heart, Zichen knew that he had to go all out. He summoned his dagger and stared straight ahead. All right, I'd like to see who will be the one to survive. Without wasting any time, countless ripples surged from the short sword. The laws of the world gathered towards the short sword. Although it didn't fuse, it still covered the short sword. After being refined many times, The originally sharp aura of the short sword had become even more powerful. Die! The Tao Protector roared. Holding the sword with both hands, he slashed at Zichen. Zichen took a deep breath. At this moment, he poured all of his power into the short sword. Sword of Lightning. This was the move of Lei Yutian. He was a famous figure in the previous era. With this sword, he killed the demon god. Whoosh! Like a dazzling light, the short sword moved forward. During this time, it collided with the falling sword of laws. The collision of laws erupted, and countless sparks of laws sputtered. The short sword's momentum didn't decrease. It continued to move forward. During this time, the laws were all destroyed, revealing streaks of purple light and dazzling lightning. The sword in the Tao Protector's hand also stabbed forward. It almost pierced the other party's body at the same time as the short sword. Zichen's heart was pierced by the sword. The sword of laws pierced through the back of his heart, and a line of blood sputtered. At the same time, Zichen's short sword had pierced through the guardian's forehead and completely penetrated through it. Time seemed to have frozen at this moment. Both of them stood there motionless. This move determined the life and death of the two. The little black snake's eyes widened. It seemed to be very shocked. Its snake eyes stared at Zichen. The light in its eyes kept flashing. The previous sword was somewhat familiar. It seemed to have seen it somewhere before. Why? In the quiet atmosphere, the Tao Protector suddenly spoke. A trace of blood appeared between his eyebrows. Because this is the Sword of Lightning. Chapter 4740. The Tao Protector's eyes widened as he stared at Zichen in disbelief. The outcome of this battle of life and death had already been decided. This was an outcome he could not accept. His sword had pierced his opponent's heart, which was also a vital point. However, it was still slightly inferior to his opponent's glabella. It wasn't that he had missed, but that when the two swords of laws had met, the powerful forces had acted upon each other, causing the trajectory of his sword to change. This was a situation that shouldn't have happened. This was because Zichen's power of laws was far inferior to his. The moment the two swords had met, Zichen's sword of laws had been the first to be cancelled out. However, the outcome had changed. My laws are indeed inferior to yours. However, my strongest point isn't my laws, but my own strength. Purple Soul, Thunder Force, and Chin Technique. Zichen, whose mouth was starting to bleed, looked at the Tao Protector. And the Thunder Sword. These are things that only exist in my world. I brought them to this world, and they are the foundation of my survival. Otherwise, how could I have won time and time again in unfavorable situations? To me, laws are just icing on the cake. It's good to have them, but I won't die without them. My true means are the strength that I have obtained through my own cultivation. This was where Zichen's confidence in the Tao Protector came from. No matter what, he could only rely on himself. After all, laws were external. After the Tao Protector received his answer, he was very unwilling. He wanted to mobilize the life force of laws to recover, because this was what he relied on. Unfortunately, the moment he had made his move, Zichen's short sword had forcibly extinguished his life force. At this moment, it was even more impossible for him to mobilize the laws. This was because his connection with the laws had been cut off. Although laws are external, I have no choice but to use them to strengthen myself. Otherwise, I will be killed by those kings. The pale Zichen smiled faintly. But don't be depressed. Soon, there will be kings to accompany you. The Tao Protector's body could no longer stand and fell to the side. Zichen grabbed the sword and pulled it out of his body. Blood spurted out from his body. But as long as he didn't die, Zichen had a way to recover. The rules appeared once again, replenishing Zichen's vitality. My lord is still the best. I knew that my lord would win. That guy is just courting death. The little black snake immediately said excitedly. The fallen Tao Protector's body began to disintegrate. He, who was born between heaven and earth, once again dissipated between heaven and earth, leaving behind a complete and pure source of laws. This source of rules was more complete than all the powers that Zichen had refined, because this was the foundation of the Les Han kingdom. Zichen waved his hand and attracted the source of law. It arrived in front of Zichen and entered his body. Zichen hooked his hand again, and the short sword that had sunk into the distant mountain wall flew back. It spun around Zichen, letting out a light sword hum. "Don't worry, I'll refine it for you." At this moment, the short sword also felt a strong attraction from the Sword of Rules and wanted to devour it. The rules continued to converge towards Zichen, so much so that all kinds of strange phenomena appeared between heaven and earth. "My lord is mighty." The little black snake once again made its presence known. The sound of footsteps came from behind. Zhong Hao was walking towards them. Zichen's injuries were gradually recovering, and it wouldn't be long before he could return to his peak state. This was the benefit of being a Tao protector. "You want to refine it here?" Cheng Ho asked. Zichen nodded and said, "Yes, right here." At this moment, Zichen's heart was full of confidence, even if he was going to face a king. "Okay." Cheng Ho leaned against the small mountain and passed the time in boredom. Many people should have sensed the changes here, but they probably didn't know who had survived in the end. As for investigating, no one dared to do so. But the king knew. He had an extremely keen sense of the rules. At the moment when the Tao Protector was killed by Zichen, he suddenly stopped and his expression changed. Lei Jinke glanced at him. The king sighed and said, "My man is dead." Lei Jinke wasn't too surprised. When the other party went, he went with killing intent, so it was natural for one of them to die. Compared to this Tao Protector who had lived for countless years, although Zichen didn't have an advantage in terms of age, in terms of wisdom, this Tao Protector couldn't compare to him. Lei Jinke wasn't surprised at all that the Tao Protector died. On the contrary, if Zichen, who provoked him, died, he would be surprised. Perhaps this is the will of the heavens. The king shook his head and said regretfully, "Let's continue forward. If possible, we might meet Zichen on the second level." Regarding the death of the Tao Protector, the king didn't show too much sadness, just some regret. He was different from other kings. He wouldn't pin all his hopes on a single Tao Protector. Moreover, his identity was unique, so he wasn't willing to devour a Tao Protector. The Tao Protector was also very loyal. Although he had his own thoughts, it wasn't a big problem. On this level, there was nothing else except for pythons. The talking little black snake was definitely an exception, so it was very likely to be the so-called great ominous creature. Except for a few existences who stayed on this level, almost everyone else went deeper and then headed to the second level. Zichen was still on this level because his source of the rules hadn't been completely refined. The other party's rules were complete, so he needed some time to refine them. The little black snake stayed next to him, showing its existence from time to time. Cheng Ho stayed there in a daze. After everyone headed to the second level, another team arrived at the entrance. This was the Geduin King's team. He came late because of the request in his heart. Looking at the dark entrance, a smile appeared on his face. "I hope he has completed the task." He led his people inside. After coming here, he didn't see anyone else, not even a corpse. "Let's go deeper and take a look." The Geduin King looked ahead. According to the time, everyone should have gone deeper. While heading deeper, the Geduin King encountered some lone demons, so he went forward and asked them what happened recently. The other party told him one by one. The most important news was that a Tao Protector called Zichen killed the king's subordinates. It was said that Zichen obtained the complete source of the rules and then killed his way to the second level. "Oh!" The Geduin King's eyes lit up, and then he immediately led a group of demons into the depths. At this moment, Zichen was still on the first level, beside the little black snake. Chapter 47-41. Zi-Chin stood up. Precepts flowed around his body as a domineering aura was unleashed. At the side, the little snake shouted excitedly, "Congratulations, my lord, on successfully obtaining the divine art." Chung Ho sensed the aura around Zi-Chin and asked, "How is it now?" The laws around Zi-Chin retracted. "It should be equivalent to an existence on the level of a king. Isn't that invincible?" "No, after killing Geduin, I might be truly invincible." Zi-Chen was in a good mood. After refining the complete origin of laws, his cultivation level did not break through. However, his combat power had increased by a lot. He was in a good mood. This time he had nothing to fear. He took out the long sword of the protector and started to break it down. Then he condensed the short sword. "Let's go." Zi-Chen glanced at Chung Ho. "My lord, what about me? What about me?" The little black snake looked at Zi-Chen with anticipation. Zi-Chen smiled and said, "You really want to leave?" "Of course. I hope that my lord can save me." The little black snake begged. Zi-Chen said, "All right, then tell me about the secret of this place." "What secret?" The little black snake was stunned. Zi-Chen smiled and said, "There's no need to interrupt. You definitely know the secret of this world. If you want to leave, then tell me." The little black snake said bitterly, "My lord, I really don't know. Can you give me some hints?" Zi-Chen pointed at his feet. "How did this pagoda of confinement come about? Other than you, who else is locked up here? Why are you guys locked up here?" "My lord, you suddenly asked so many questions. I don't know how to answer," the little black snake said. Zi-Chen squatted down and looked at the little black snake. "No rush. Take it slow. Think about it slowly. Anyway, I have a lot of time." The little black snake thought for a moment and said, "But my lord, I really don't know. In my memory, I was pressed down by a small mountain when I came out to relax. It has been pressed down until now." Zi-Chen said, "Do you think you are a fool? Or do you think everyone is a fool? This level of the pagoda of confinement is suppressing you. I want to know who you are and why you are being suppressed." The little black snake said helplessly, "Sir, I really don't know because my memory might have been damaged." Zi-Chen said, "Well, I'll believe you this time. Can you please tell me if this leads to another world?" "My lord, how should I answer your question?" Zi-Chen looked at the little black snake and said, "You are really not honest. I wanted to save you, but you didn't want to leave. Why? Do you think it's good to stay here all these years?" "My lord, listen to what you are saying. I want to leave even in my dreams, but I have no choice." The little black snake said helplessly, "My lord, how about this? As long as you can let me out, I am willing to follow you and repay you even if I have to work like a cow or a horse for the rest of my life." Chung Ho looked at the man and snake. The two of them were talking nonsense, constantly testing each other. Zi-Chen smiled and asked, "How about this? You answer my question first, and then I will save you. Does this pagoda of confinement belong to the master of this world?" "My lord, I really don't know." The little black snake was so wrong that he was about to cry. Zi-Chen clapped his hands and said, "Then forget it. I won't force you. How about this? I will give you some time to think about it carefully. During this time, I will come back again. That will be your last chance." After saying this, Zi-Chen left. The little black snake looked at Zi-Chen's back, his eyes flashing. No one knew what he was thinking. Zi-Chen didn't go to the second floor because he estimated that a lot of time had passed. Those who should have entered the second floor should have already gone in. Shangling and the others might be coming soon. Zi-Chen couldn't go out and call everyone in, so he could only wait in place. After coming here, his strength had increased enough. It was very difficult to make any more progress. Therefore, entering the second floor didn't mean much to Zi-Chen. Instead, it was better to stay here and wait for Shangling and the others to come in together. Then he could look for opportunities here. Ziqin and Chung Ho returned to the place where they just came from. Because they didn't know when everyone would come in, they could only wait. Geduin King entered the second floor. He led a group of demons and was in a good mood. He had received accurate information that Zichen was on this floor and had obtained the complete source of the origin of the laws. Of course, the favor he said at the beginning didn't exist. With the pure king's law, he was bound to take back the complete source of the laws. In that case, not only would he have the strength comparable to a king, but he might also be able to break the boundary of this world in one fell swoop and become the savior of this strange world, leaving this strange world with him. He had stayed in this place for a long time. Not only him, all the kings had stayed here long enough, so they had been trying to find a way out. While Zichen was waiting, he didn't forget to refine his weapon. The last time he saw the weapon of the Green Robe King, Zichen already had an understanding of the shortcomings of the short sword. Moreover, the other party said that the weapon was refined by himself. He didn't expect it to be so powerful. Zichen remembered that Danxiang once said about the weapons of this world. She said that there were no weapons in this world. All the weapons that were refined were left behind by their masters. Geduin King had one. In that case, the grade of Geduin King's weapon might be higher than the Green Robe King's. As for the Green Robe King's weapon, Zichen didn't know how he refined it. Thinking of this possibility, Zichen needed to refine the short sword even more. During this time, Zichen told Chung how that he could go hunt some pythons and bring back some inner cores. However, the other party was too lazy to pay attention to him. Most of the time he was lying on the ground sleeping or in a daze out of boredom. After Zichen said a few times, he stopped and focused on refining the short sword. There was no clear sense of the flow of time here. He didn't know how much time had passed. With the appearance of rays of light, someone finally came. Sure enough, it was Shangling and the others. After seeing Zichen, they were all very surprised. Everyone who was originally on guard also relaxed their expressions. "Why are you here?" Han Nu asked in surprise. "Of course, I'm waiting for you. If you don't come, I'll be worried that something will happen to you. I'll feel uneasy and can't sleep well." Chung Ho immediately became energetic. He was no longer as lazy as before and trotted over. Zichen explained the situation on this floor. After learning that there were opportunities and no great dangers here, everyone was in a good mood, especially Tyrant and the others. They didn't find any opportunities to break through to the demon realm outside, so they came in to try their luck. In addition, Ning Hua and the others were already demons. They could take care of each other on the way, so everyone came in together. Zichen explained some things and then took out his inner cores to share with everyone. After that, he walked in the direction of the little black snake. Before leaving, Zichen warned them not to go in his direction. Chapter 47-42. Zichen returned to the small mountain, and Chung Ho reluctantly followed. Based on his complaints along the way, Zichen had ruined the beautiful time between him and Lady Frost. Zichen couldn't be bothered to pay attention to this fellow who didn't contribute at all, so he just let him be. When the little black snake saw Zichen, it immediately cried out in joy. Zichen smiled and walked up, then crouched down and asked, "Have you thought it through?" The little black snake said, "My lord, I really want to say it, but I really don't know what to say." Zichen's smile didn't fade as he said, "I guess that you would say that, but it's fine. Since you don't know where to start, I'll do it and you'll listen." "Good, good, good. My lord is the most understanding one." The little black snake hurriedly nodded. "You were once a great calamity, but for some reason, you were captured by the master of this pagoda. At the same time, for some reason, the other party didn't kill you and instead sealed you here." Zichen said, "The appearance of so many pythons in this world should be related to you. Of course, if I'm wrong, you can shake your head and refute me." The little black snake was silent, but perhaps this wasn't a tacit agreement. Apart from you, the other 6 floors also have a great calamity imprisoned. I don't know what the existence that imprisoned you, or what those existences' intentions are, but there must be a reason for doing so. Next, I'll go to the 2nd floor. If nothing unexpected happens, I'll meet someone who can talk there. You've been unwilling to say anything this entire time. So perhaps that person can tell me something? The little black snake was still silent. Zi-chun continued. After going to the 2nd floor, I probably won't be able to return. Are you sure you don't want to reconsider? The silent little black snake said with a confused expression. I really don't remember anything. My lord, why don't you believe me? I want to believe you, but I can't. You won't say anything. For example, you should know who the person who imprisoned you is, right? Just what level of existence is this 7-floored pagoda of confinement? Also, why would the pagoda of purgatory appear here? Is there really an entrance to another world here? Looking at the silent little black snake, Zi-chun stood up. There was no way to communicate with it anymore. Perhaps you have been silent all this time because you have concerns in your heart. For example, if you tell me your background, I will be afraid and will not dare to let you out. Actually, there's no need for that. After so many years, how much strength do you have left? Zi-chun shook his head and said regretfully, It's a pity that you can't figure this out. You can only stay here forever with this secret. After saying that, Zi-chun left. This time he was very decisive. He wanted to go to the 2nd level. It's Gushan. The little black snake's voice suddenly rang out. Zi-chun, who was in front, stopped. He turned around and asked, What did you say? It was Gushan. He was the one who captured me. He said that he would come back and let us go one day, but he went back on his words and never came back. Hearing the little black snake's words, Zi-chun instantly guessed many things. For example, the master that made Ji and the other existences mentioned was really Gushan, the so-called Gushan demon, and Gushan people were all because of Gushan. All the kings' names started with the word Go. This was probably the reason. The ruler from another world called Gushan left one day and never came back. He abandoned the world and the pagoda of purgatory. Where did he go? Why didn't he come back? Zi-chun asked again. The immortal spell's realm. The little black snake said, He hasn't come back for so many years. Perhaps he died there. What kind of place is the immortal spell's realm? Zi-chun asked again. The little black snake shook its head, indicating that it did not know. Zi-chun then looked at Chung-ho. Chung-ho also shook his head, but his expression became very serious. A ruler from another world went to an unknown place and did not return. And in the world he controlled, there were many demons that surpassed the ancient sage. Perhaps with a simple thought, one could guess what the immortal spell's realm was. But was it really so? That legendary place that no one had ever verified, that some people called the immortal world, was it really the immortal spell's realm? It seemed that the latter name was more convincing. That unknown world really existed. No matter how Zi-chun asked, the little black snake shook its head, indicating that it did not know. You've been to the immortal spell's realm. The little black snake continued to shake its head. What cultivation level were you at back then? How did you get caught by Gushan? The little black snake still shook its head, clearly uncooperative. In the end, Zi-chun could only give up helplessly. He sighed and said, What a pity. You don't intend to save me. The little black snake looked at Zi-chun. This was the first time it did not address him as Lord. Zi-chun said, I want to, but I have no choice. But you've never tried to save me. The little black snake said again. Zi-chun squatted down again and leaned over the little black snake's head. I don't dare to try because I'm very afraid. I'm afraid that once I release you, you will instantly devour all the pythons on this level and become a super terrifying existence. The little black snake widened its eyes and looked at Zi-chun. Lord, what do you mean? Zi-chun smiled and said, Perhaps one day I will come back and release you personally. But the prerequisite is that you really believe that I will come back. This time, Zichen really left. But his mood was not relaxed at all. Instead, it became even heavier. Although the little black snake didn't say much, Zichen was able to guess a lot of things. For example, what he knew now was that above the ancient sage was the demon realm. Leijinka was known as the #1 sage in the saint spirit realm. He was an ancient sage himself, like Chung Ho and the others, belonging to the previous era. Demons, on the other hand, were existences that were even stronger than ancient holy sovereigns. Not to mention the little black snake's attitude towards demons. Gapa, the king, was obviously stronger than ordinary demons, but it still did not take him seriously. Then what kind of existence was it in the past? And what kind of existence was Gushan, the ruler of the alternate world, who could suppress it here? Now, such an existence was gone. In the celestial, demon, and spirit realms, the strongest were only ancient sages. But where did those existences go? Would they be like the alternate world, controlled by some kind of power and unable to leave? But what if they left? Because the kings and kings of this world had always been thinking of ways to leave this world and enter the saint spirit realm. The biggest question was whether the coordinates that Zichen obtained were the coordinates of the immortal spell realm, or were they similar to the coordinates of the alternate world? Chapter 47-43. All sorts of doubts appeared in his mind. Zichen walked very slowly with many thoughts in his mind. Zhong Hao was beside him, but he didn't say anything. What exactly happened back then? After a long time, Zichen turned around and asked. Chung Ho said, "It's very simple. Gods and demons invaded, and their auras were vast and mighty. Everyone wanted to repel the gods and demons. There were no demons back then. No. Then what were the stronger sacred venerables called? They were still called sacred venerables. Only the famous sacred venerables could rally hundreds with a single call. You came to this strange world once. What did you discover back then?" "I didn't discover anything. I just stopped in a hurry and left. Back then there were no demons, no kings, and no reverend kings. It's impossible that they didn't exist. They have always existed. Then you didn't encounter them." Zichen suddenly thought of Meiji. It was because she opened the door that Zichen and the others could enter. Could it be that Meiji did not open the door for them back then? However, these sacred venerables did not go through Meiji when they entered this time and directly arrived here. At the same time, Zichen thought of the dead insect king. He had clamored about coming to Paradise Kingdom, but this place was not called Paradise Kingdom. Did he not know about the changes in this world? Or was he used to the way he used to be called? All sorts of doubts filled Zichen's mind. Looking at the pondering Zichen, Chung Ho suddenly said, "Perhaps you knew something back then, but with his unexpected death, you forgot everything. Why don't you sleep and see if there are any hints in your dreams?" "Hints my ass. Do you want me to die?" Zichen said unhappily. "How can you say that? If that sacred venerate Zichen returns, do you think I'll still be me?" "Of course. That's your memories from your previous life. After awakening, you're still you. Furthermore, you know even more. Then what if I become a part of those memories?" Zichen glared at Chung Ho before walking forward. Chung Ho muttered, "There's not much difference. Anyway, they're all very annoying." Zichen arrived at the second floor, which looked no different from the first floor. It was all black as far as the eye could see, and its aura was more oppressive than the first floor. As soon as he entered this level, Zichen sensed the presence of others. The other party also saw Zichen and was slightly startled. Then he turned around and ran. Shua! Zichen's figure disappeared and appeared in front of the evil demon in the next moment. He stopped the Gushan demon. "Why are you running?" The Gushan demon said, "I'm not running away. I'm going to look for opportunities." Fortuitous opportunities aside, Meeting me is the end of your path. Zi Chen extended his finger and pointed at the Gushan demon. At this moment, an item suddenly appeared in the Gushan demon's hand. It was a piece of bamboo leaf that shone with a sparkling light. He seemed to want to crush the bamboo leaf. Puff! Zi Chen's fingertip arrived in advance and forcibly extinguished the Gushan demon's vitality. At this moment, Chung Ho had just appeared on this floor. When he saw the dead Gushan demon, his expression changed slightly. Zi Chen caught the falling leaf and ignored the Gushan demon's corpse. He looked at it carefully. What's this? Something to transmit information. A cold voice sounded beside Zi Chen. Zi Chen turned around and saw Mei. He was surprised. Why are you here? Is there a rule that says I can't come here? The other party's attitude was very rude, but since she had saved him twice, Zi Chen did not mind. No, what I mean is, why did you suddenly appear, and why couldn't I sense you? The current Zi Chen had refined the complete origin of the laws. His perception was many times stronger, and he could sense through the laws of heaven and earth. Of course, he was very sensitive. Mei Yin said, if I didn't have this hidden method, how could I have survived until now? Zi Chen blew at the Gushan demon's corpse. The Gushan demon's corpse was decomposed, leaving behind the jade bones. I've always been curious. Why did you come to this strange world? Why did you kill those Gushan demons? If I didn't kill them, they would have killed me. Mei Yin said, those Gushan demons were just incidental. My real goal was to kill those kings. Kill kings? You have the strength to do so? Zi Chen was a little surprised. Originally, he could not see through Mei Yin. However, with his current strength, he had a basic understanding of Mei Yin's combat strength. No, that's why I came to find you. I now understand why Mother asked me to come with you. Mei Yin said, you've improved very quickly. Now that you have the strength to kill a king, we can definitely succeed if we work together. Aren't you overestimating me? At most, I'm just protecting myself. Zi Chen laughed in spite of himself when he heard that. Last time I was almost killed. Mei Yin nodded. I know. Actually, if you had held on a little longer, it might have been the one to die. Why, you were there that day too. Zi Chen was surprised. I was looking for an opportunity. Unfortunately, you were too cautious. Thinking back to that day, Mei Yin still felt regretful. Back to the previous topic. If you don't have the strength to kill a king, the king will kill you. Just like how they captured me to threaten my mother. They will kill you for your origin of the laws. Didn't you want to know what this bamboo leaf is for? It's used for communication. It comes from the bamboo house in the Geduin kingdom. It's a subordinate of King Geduin, and it's here to keep an eye on you. During this period, that bastard Geduin has been looking for you for a long time, but he couldn't find you. So he guessed that you might not have come in. So he sent someone to keep watch here. When they see you, they will send a message. At that time, that bastard Geduin will come in person. Zi Chen nodded and said, so that's how it is. Just as well, I was planning to compete with him. During this time, Zi Chen looked at Mei Yin with a strange expression. This was because a bird was calling a king a beast in front of him. It was quite strange. Suddenly, Zi Chen thought of something. Back then, Mei Ji saved him, and Mei Yin followed him here. After that, he received some help and obtained a portion of the origin of the laws, and finally embarked on the path of plunder. Was this a coincidence, or did Mei Ji predict it? What's the situation on this floor? Zi Chen shook his head. There was no point in asking for the truth now. Chapter 47-44. He didn't need to guess to know that the one who had spoken was the existence suppressed on the second floor. To be able to suppress that ruler on this floor, it definitely wasn't an ordinary monkey. Zi Chen said, come, let's go take a look. Perhaps they would find something else this time. Along the way, Zi Chen saw a few monkeys. Strictly speaking, they couldn't be considered monkeys. They were a type of ape, similar to devil apes. They didn't have scales and they had scarlet hair. Their eyes were blood red, and from a distance they looked like scarlet flames. Their power was shocking, and their physical bodies were stronger than the pythons on the first floor. After killing them, they would also be able to obtain a golden Niden of a slightly higher grade. As they advanced, Zi-Chun worked hard to gather as much as he could for everyone, other than Tyrant and the others. He still had the martial heaven continent. There were many trustworthy people there. Chung Ho followed behind them, intentionally keeping a distance from Zi-Chun. It seemed like he didn't want to hear the conversation between Zi-Chun and Mei-Yin. But in truth, it was possible that he was on guard against danger. Let me give you a word of advice. Geduin should be fully prepared to kill you this time. Don't be careless. If something uncontrollable happens, I'll just leave. After all, if you miss an opportunity, it might appear again. But if you lose your life, you won't be able to seize any opportunities. Zi-Chun nodded, indicating that he understood. Mei-Yin flew over to Zi-Chun. Seeing Zi-Chun's calm expression, she was puzzled. You seem very confident. I wouldn't dare say I'm confident, but I can at least guarantee that I won't die. Zi-Chun chuckled. No matter what, this is a law origin I obtained through many battles. It can't be so useless. Furthermore, isn't this the result your mother wanted to see? Mei-Yin shook her head. I don't know. In any case, I want those kings dead. Clearly, Mei-Yin didn't hear the probing in Zi-Chun's words. She was very pure, and everything was based on her personal preferences. So Zi-Chun didn't beat around the bush. He directly asked, "Why do you insist on killing those kings? You don't have any grudges, do you?" Mei-Yin glanced around cautiously, while Chung Ho tactfully put some distance between them. Then, Mei-Yin chose to send a voice transmission into his ear. Because there are more and more kings, the area they control is getting bigger and bigger. The outside won't be able to hold on much longer, so I came in this time to kill some of them and reduce the pressure on the outside. You've seen Danqiang. She's one of the protectors inside. In her own territory, she can contend against a king in a one-on-one battle. In addition to faint fragrance, the trees were also protectors. However, they could only restrain the kings inside. They couldn't kill them. On the other hand, the Tao protectors created by the kings will slowly eat away at them. This made Zi-Chun think of zoos. Once the animals in there developed infinitely, multiplied, and grew stronger, there would be a day when the door could no longer be guarded. It seemed that the growth of those kings had affected the operation of the rules of this world. Now that Mei-Yin was no longer hostile to him, she told him everything she knew. She even told him a secret like this. Zi-Chun asked telepathically, "If that's the case, why don't you let them leave?" "No, you can't," Mei-Yin anxiously replied. "Mother said that none of the beings in here are easy to deal with. If they leave, it will be a great disaster." Looking at Zi-Chun's indifferent expression, Mei-Yin continued, "Believe me, it's true. Mother said that if you let them leave with you, your world will definitely suffer a destructive impact. You might even be destroyed because of it." Last time, when you were found by Geduin, weren't you worried that he would work with the other kings to deal with you? That's useless, because when we came here, Mother already told me to be prepared. Once I'm caught, I should find an opportunity to escape. If I can't escape, I should be prepared to die. She won't compromise. You agreed. Of course. How else could I come in? Zi-Chun gave Mei-Yin a look of admiration. I can't stay here for long. Just follow this path and you'll find that monkey. It has a very bad temper and will scold anyone who gets close. Be careful, don't get too close. After saying that, Mei-Yin disappeared. During this time, Zi-Chun kept his senses spread out, but he didn't find any trace of Mei-Yin. It was as if she had really disappeared. Zi-Chun knew that Mei-Yin was watching him from afar. She hadn't gone far. Through their conversations along the way, Zi-Chun gained a new understanding of Mei-Yin's personality. She had already prepared herself for death before coming here. This was not something an ordinary person could do, and he was filled with admiration for her. After Mei Yin disappeared, Cheng Ho still didn't go forward. Zi Qin didn't hide himself. So when he discovered the first wave of demons, they also saw him. Then those demons quickly left. Zi Qin knew that it wouldn't be long before the news of him appearing on this level spread. So he sped up. He stopped killing the monkeys he encountered along the way. Cheng Ho also sped up. He wasn't worried about Zi Chen's safety, but he was afraid that he would be alone and be killed by others. After all, in this place, except for Zi Chen, almost everyone was an enemy. In Zi Chen's vision, a mountain range appeared. He released his senses and found something strange in the mountains. Under a tall black mountain peak, there was a monkey. The monkey was looking around with its head tilted. It shouted at the top of its voice, "Is anyone coming out to be scolded? Hurry up and come out. I'm in a good mood today. I'll be merciful." It heard footsteps and looked beyond the mountain. Zi Chen walked up step by step and appeared in its vision. The monkey's eyes lit up. Everyone else was scared away by me. I didn't expect to see a hothead. "Kid, come here and let me scold you. I'll feel good." Zi Chen said calmly, "Then you'll be at a disadvantage. That snake down there scolds others like it's a grandfather, but you're a father. You'll be one generation lower." "You're talking about Ba Shou. That bastard is still alive?" The monkey stared at Zi Chen with red eyes. "Not only is it alive, it's living quite well." Zi Chen continued, "And it said that Gushan will definitely return. It has always believed it. F * King Bulsh * T. Gushan is long dead. Otherwise, why wouldn't he return?" The monkey roared angrily. It said that it might have been delayed by something in the immortal spells world. It should be back soon. That fool is really childish. If Gushan really entered the immortal spells world, would it be so easy for him to return? What kind of existences live there? It would be strange if he wasn't killed. Suddenly, the monkey came to a realization. It stared at Zi Chen. "Kid, you dare to scheme against me?" Zi Chen turned around and looked into the distance. Someone appeared. The leader was Geduin King. Chapter 47-45. Monkey also heard the commotion in the distance, so he did not continue to pursue this matter. Soon he saw a large number of people coming, and the leader had a malicious smile on his face. "Boy, it seems that you are in trouble." Monkey chuckled. "You have to work hard and hold on a little longer. I haven't seen others fight for a long time. Blood, you must see blood. I like this. It's best if you can smash their bodies into pieces." "Zi Chen, I finally found you." When he was still a distance away from Zi Chen, Geduin laughed. "I'm very happy to see you." Zi Chen smiled. "I'm very happy too." "Really?" "Of course. I still remember that you said that you will owe me a favor in the future." Zi Chen said, "So after I refined those protectors, I went to find you immediately. Unfortunately, I didn't find you. I was disappointed for a long time because I was always worried that you would go back on your words and not come. I didn't expect you to come to the second level so early. It seems that the two of us missed each other early. How dare you? Why don't you salute the king?" When they came closer, one of the demons shouted at Zi Chen angrily. Geduin waved his hand and said, "Others need to salute, but Zi Chen doesn't need to." Monkey looked at this scene and felt a little confused. The two clearly had killing intent, so why didn't they fight when they met, but instead they were laughing at each other? Hypocrite! He reacted, "Humph, humans are indeed hypocritical and cunning, just like Gashan back then." Geduin stretched out his hand and said, "I will remember this favor. Give it to me." Zi Chen was slightly stunned. "What is it?" Geduin King said, "The origin of the laws. Didn't we agree that if you give me the origin of the laws, I will owe you a favor? How long has it been? Have you forgotten? Or are you not going to give it to me at all?" At the end, Geduin King's eyes turned cold. Upon hearing this, Zichen said in a wrong tone, "I say, sir, your ability to turn your back on me is truly amazing. That wasn't what you said that day. You clearly said that I should kill all the Tao protectors, including the Tao protectors around the honored king. After refining the origin of laws, the two of us will work together to kill the honored king. At that time, you will replace him as the new honored king and take charge of those 17 idiotic subordinates. At that time, you will owe me a favor. Did you forget?" Zichen said all this in one breath, not giving Geduin a chance to interrupt him. The reason he said this was because, in addition to Geduin and the others, Zichen sensed that many people had come, and there were also kings among them. It was even possible that there were also people from the venerable king. When they heard the conversation, their expressions changed, and they instinctively looked at Geduin. Geduin was slightly startled, but then he sneered, "I didn't expect you to talk more nonsense than me. But no matter what you say today, you have to leave the origin of laws." Zichen also sneered, "You should have said so earlier. Why did you have to greet me with a smile? But what if I don't want to give it to you?" Geduin's face turned gloomy. "It seems that your memory is not very good. Have you forgotten what happened back then? Have you forgotten how you knelt in front of me?" Zichen looked at Geduin. "Are you talking about the king's law?" A look of surprise flashed across Geduin's face. "You know?" Zichen pointed in a direction. "That guy in green robes was lucky enough to display it in front of me once. After experiencing it, I knew." The green-robed king, who had once attacked Zichen, also appeared in sight at this moment. He looked at Zichen with extremely cold eyes. Because he was schemed against by Zichen, now he had no subordinates. Zichen looked at the green-robed king and said with a smile, "Why don't the two of us fight again?" The green-robed king was a little moved, but the green-robed king snorted coldly. As a king, although he was a little impulsive last time, it did not mean that he was a fool. This time, he obviously would not be the one to stand out and make trouble for himself. Besides, Geduin was here, and he was the most suitable person to kill Zichen. The green-robed king began to retreat, and as he retreated, the other existences in the distance who wanted to watch the show also retreated one by one. After all, they could watch the show from afar, but it was not good to be close. It would be bad if they were affected. Monkey said impatiently, "Why are you being so wishy-washy? Are you going to fight or not?" Geduin stretched out his hand. "Since you want to die, don't blame me for not being polite. I'll take your origin of laws. As for that favor, since you don't know what's good for you, forget it." Then he said one word, "Kneel." King's precepts flowed in his palm, and something strange happened in this world. Zichen's perception was the clearest. There was a strong will coming to his side through the king's precepts, trying to force him to the ground. This was a kind of pressure from the will of a superior being, and it came with the precepts. Zichen mobilized the complete power of the precepts, trying to resist this pressure. Suddenly, his expression changed. Some of the precepts became chaotic and were no longer under his control. If these precepts were compared to soldiers, then Geduin would be the general who trained these soldiers. Although the soldiers were now under his command, with the arrival of the general, these loyal soldiers began to disobey. Zichen did not fall. He was still standing there, but his face turned slightly pale. "This is your king's precepts?" "It's just S.O." "Sure enough, with the complete precepts, you can resist my king's precepts. I'm very satisfied with your performance." Geduin was in a good mood. If Zichen could resist his precepts, then he who had obtained the precepts was confident that he could fight against the honorable kings. He slapped out a palm, and a real palm print went toward Zichen. King's precepts surged outside the palm print. Although this was Geduin's probing attack, it was still very terrifying. The demons who were far away also felt the pressure. Light shone in front of Zichen. The precepts combined with his own power forming a real defense. As the palm print approached, Zichen's defense immediately collapsed, and Zichen's body slid back. Monkey looked at the retreating Zichen and said, "Kid, you're not good. He's just probing, and you can't even block it. How are you going to fight?" Zichen did not say anything. Instead, he opened his fist and made an inviting gesture. Geduin's second palm print approached, but this time it was shattered by Zichen's punch. Then, Zichen strode forward and went straight for Geduin. During this time, several of Geduin's palm prints were shattered by Zichen's fists. "Good job, kid. Your physical body is not bad," Monkey shouted loudly, looking a little excited. Zichen approached Geduin and punched out. Chapter 47-46. Under everyone's gaze, Zichen overpowered Geduin's attacks one after another. During this period, Geduin used the king's law, but after probing, Zichen displayed extraordinary means of strength that even the king's law could not suppress. "Not bad, kid. Your physical body is not bad." The monkey shouted loudly, watching Zichen fight with punch after punch. It was very happy. It had not seen such a scene for a long time, and it was actually a little excited. Geduin King sneered and no longer retreated, but took the initiative to attack. The two began to collide with real fists and feet. Every time, energy sputtered out, and the law surged around the two. When Geduin's attack fell, there would always be a problem with the law surrounding Zichen. There would be weak areas in the defense, and there would also be places where the attack would be disconnected. Geduin used these disconnections to fight Zichen easily. Under everyone's watch, the two had quickly punched more than 100 times, but neither could do anything to the other. It was a kind of evenly matched battle. The demons in the distance were shocked. With this move alone, they were no longer a match for Zichen. As demons, no one had the confidence to fight against a powerful king. Otherwise, this world would have developed for countless years, and there would be more than 18 kings. The green-robed king's face became gloomier because he knew that he could no longer beat Zichen. From now on, he would have nothing to do with the origin of the law. The other kings present felt the same way. There was some commotion outside the crowd. A special team had arrived. It was the Honorable King. He and Leijinka walked in front, and the other demons followed behind. Of course, they would not miss such a battle scene. Seeing the Honorable King, everyone's heart trembled. What did it mean for the Honorable King to appear at this time? The Honorable King who appeared did not stop the battle. Instead, he stood at the back and watched, as if he was just a spectator. "Sir, what do you think of this battle?" The Honorable King asked with a smile, as if he was not worried that Geduin would become stronger after winning, or even become a threat to him. "Life and death are predestined," Leijinka said very calmly. The Honorable King said, "Okay, then let's see who will win in the end." At this moment, Monkey was still shouting and cheering for Zichen. This made those who had seen the monkey's ability to scold people a little uncomfortable. At this time, shouldn't he be cursing and scolding these two fellows for disturbing his peace? Powerful shockwaves shook the area. After exchanging hundreds of punches, both of them were pushed back dozens of feet. Zichen's face was a little pale, because every time they fought, it was as if Geduin was hitting his weak points. Once this kind of tactic was repeated, he would be at a disadvantage. Geduin's face was still rosy. After he stopped, he smiled and said, "How does it feel to practice with you until now?" Zichen said, "I feel fine, so thank you." Geduin smiled and asked, "What's the thank you gift?" "Experience it for yourself." Geduin's face suddenly sank. Next, he discovered that there was a hidden power within his body. At that moment, the power was uncontrollably surging out from within his body. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his previously ruddy complexion turned pale. There was an uproar in the distance. Many people were very surprised, not knowing what was going on. "Good boy, you actually have this kind of skill. Although it's not very glorious, it's very impressive," Monkey shouted. Gudewin wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and sighed. I've seen it for myself. Although I've always been on guard, it's impossible to guard against it. Zi Chen said regretfully, it's a pity. If it weren't for the suppression of the king's law, you would have fallen by now. Although the two of them had fought many times, Gudewin's attacks always landed on the weak points of Zi Chen's attacks. This also affected that part of the hidden power. Therefore, after many punches, Gudewin was only injured, and his combat strength was not affected by much. The next moment, a fierce aura suddenly appeared. The surrounding space instantly became sticky, and pressure appeared from all directions, shrouding the battlefield. Boy, you're in danger. Monkey's voice was a little more serious. Zi Chen looked at the saber in Gudewin's hand. Its aura was very different from the sword used by the green-robed king last time. Or rather, its grade was obviously different. You've seen the king's law last time, but I'm afraid you haven't seen such a weapon, right? Gudewin King smiled proudly. This is a weapon left behind by my master. There are only 6 known in the entire alternate world, and this saber of mine is one of them. I call it Flow Break. The saber flashed and was very sharp. The aura that flowed out gave Zi Chen a sense of danger. His guess was right. Back then, he had only seen it from afar. Today, facing it head-on, Zi Chen still felt the pressure even though he had refined many laws. Therefore, the short sword appeared. It circled around his body like a stream of light, and it was actually a little uneasy. Again, Gudewin King smiled proudly and immediately flashed forward, slashing down with his saber. There were no other unnecessary movements. He just swung the saber, but the entire space seemed to be split into 2 by this one slash. The monkey looked at the saber, and a complicated expression flashed in his eyes. There was resentment and nostalgia. The short sword came close and blocked the attack. During this time, laws were constantly surging out. Clang! The flow break was blocked. The powerful aura shook, and Zi Chen's figure immediately retreated. The short sword that was sent flying turned into a stream of light and moved forward. The sword was trembling, and Zi Chen could feel the other party's fear. Come! Gudewin's voice sounded again. His figure once again came to Zi Chen's side and slashed down for the second time. Buzz! On the blade, light flowed in all directions. The power of this slash was actually a little stronger. Zi Chen's face changed slightly. The short sword came in time again. Boom! From the short sword there was a wail. All the surging laws were extinguished in an instant, and the short sword was sent flying. Zi Chen's face was very ugly. Those laws were really disobedient, but he couldn't blame them. After all, they didn't have any consciousness. Let's see how many slashes you can take. Gudewin slashed again with the saber. This was the 3rd slash. The crowd in the distance looked at this scene. The demons were shocked, and the kings had different expressions. Some of them were envious, while others were jealous. With the weapon left behind by the master, if Gudewin could refine the laws of this strange world, he could very well become the 2nd honorable king. The honorable king's expression was still calm, and so was Lei Jinka. They were really just spectators in this battle. The 3rd slash landed. Zi Chen and the short sword were sent flying at the same time. Zi Chen, who fell to the ground, coughed up blood. Cracks appeared on the surface of the short sword. It was showing signs of collapsing. Kid, if you don't have any other tricks up your sleeve, you should run. You can't deal with that flow break. The monkey suddenly said. As expected, after the 4th slash, Zi Chen was already in a state of serious injury. I don't believe it. It's just a saber. Zi Chen gritted his teeth and stood up. His eyes were unyielding. The short sword approached again. The 5th slash landed. Goodbye. Chapter 47:47. Zi Chen flew backward, his body drawing an arc before landing beside Monkey. Monkey looked at Zi Chen, who was covered in blood, and shook his head. "Kid, it's a miracle that you're not dead. Don't be so stubborn. Hurry up and run." Zichen stood up and glanced at the short sword beside him. It was already covered in spider-web-like cracks and could break into countless pieces at any time. One had to know that this was a nomological weapon that was condensed from laws. One could imagine how sharp and tough it was. However, it was on the verge of collapsing after blocking 5 attacks from Gaduin's Flowbreaker. The others were also shocked. Zichen was clearly at a disadvantage. It was certain that Gaduin would become stronger. Zichen picked up the short sword and said, "Thank you for your hard work." The next moment, he put away the short sword and looked up at Gaduin. Gaduin held Flowbreaker and smiled. "How do you feel now?" Before Zichen could speak, he started coughing. His face was even paler, and every time he coughed, there would be blood. Not only did Flowbreaker damage the short sword, but it also injured Zichen. Even a Tao protector could not heal him in time. "Kid, why aren't you leaving?" Monkey's voice sounded again. "There's no hurry. He's not dead yet. I'm not willing to leave without killing him." Zichen replied weakly. Monkey's eyes widened. "Kid, are you crazy or crazy?" Zichen did not respond this time because he had closed his eyes. "Do you think it's possible to recover?" Gaduin sneered and moved forward again. At the same time, his Flowbreaker began to tremble as if it was about to drink blood. He seemed very excited. At this moment, Zichen opened his eyes. There seemed to be 2 bolts of lightning in his eyes. That sharp gaze made Gaduin feel a piercing pain. He subconsciously stopped, and for some reason he had a bad feeling. At this moment, a strange change happened. A vortex suddenly appeared in the sky. The vortex spun and expanded. Countless laws appeared between heaven and earth and arrived outside the vortex, forming a protective barrier. Everyone saw the abnormality in the sky, but did not know why. The monkey strenuously lifted its head and stared at the law vortex. It couldn't help but be startled. It seemed somewhat familiar. "I feel like I've seen it somewhere before." There was no pressure between heaven and earth, nor was there the suffocating aura that appeared when the flow break appeared. But for some reason, Gaduin King felt an unprecedented sense of danger. He immediately raised his saber and looked up at the sky. He was actually in a defensive posture. "What is this?" The revered king was startled and confused. "He is indeed different from the rest." Lei Zhen said indifferently. He should be the only one present who could guess what the anomaly was. Under the rotation of the laws in the sky, a black passage appeared in the gradually enlarging vortex. At this moment, Zichen uttered a single word. "Fall." The pitch-black tunnel suddenly lit up, as if countless rays of light were surging out from within. The world was bright, so bright that it was somewhat dazzling. Following that, a deafening explosion rang out. A real bolt of lightning flew out of the passageway and went straight down. It was like a chain released by a deity from the sky, twisting and falling into the human world. The monkey's eyes suddenly widened, and his face was filled with disbelief. "This is controlling thunder?" The explosion sounded again, and the light of the thunder was completely released. Everyone felt that their eyes were momentarily blinded. Vaguely, they seemed to see a saber light soaring into the sky, which was then annihilated in the light. In the blink of an eye, the light disappeared. The vortex in the sky had dissipated, and the lingering laws disappeared from this world again. Zichen's body swayed, and he almost fell. He forced himself to stand. It was indeed extremely difficult to use the thunder controlling technique in this world. Even with the laws as a cover to cover his aura, he still suffered a considerable backlash. It was much more difficult than using the short sword as a medium to use the thunder sword. But the result was not bad. The thunder controlling technique appeared, and the battle was basically over. Zichen looked ahead. Gaduin King was in a posture of pointing his saber at the sky. His body was motionless, as if he had become stiff under the lightning. Phew! Zichen exhaled. He could feel that the laws in his body had all stabilized, and the restraint of the king's laws had become very weak. Gudun King suddenly withdrew his saber, and then looked at Zichen. "What's that?" The monkey, who was at the side, looked at Zichen with a different gaze. "It's a thunder summoning technique, specially used to deal with you." The weak Zichen said, "You're easier to deal with than I thought, even if you have that extraordinary saber." Gudun King asked again, "In that case, why didn't you use it earlier?" Zichen said, "This is a trump card. How can I use it casually? But it's just right to use it now. It's not too early or too late." "Got it." Gudun King nodded, then turned around. Under everyone's stunned expression, he left just like that. Was he fine? Zichen's expression was very calm, and he did not show the slightest dissatisfaction because of the other party's departure. Gudun only managed to take 3 steps before collapsing to the ground. After falling to the ground, his body began to disintegrate into countless light particles, and finally only a set of beast bones was left. Looking at the sparkling beast bones, Zichen seemed to understand why Mayne called him a beast. That should be Gudun's true body. Beside the beast bones, Lu Duan also fell to the side. It was the weapon left behind by its master, and for a moment many people were tempted. There was no hesitation, no struggle, not even the slightest hesitation. The moment they saw the saber, one by one they moved. They rushed forward towards the saber, and some ran towards the heavily injured Zichen. A light appeared beside Zichen. It was Mayne. "Let's go!" It shouted anxiously. Zichen said with some surprise, "Aren't you waiting for an opportunity? Obviously, now is not the best time. We'll talk about that later. If you don't leave now, you won't be able to." Mayne used her power to envelop Zichen, wanting to take Zichen away. Zichen shook his head, indicating that he would not leave. Mayne was anxious. "Why are you still acting like a hero at this point? As long as you're alive, there will be plenty of opportunities. No, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." Zichen's eyes became resolute, and he was determined not to leave. In fact, after he rejected Mayne for the first time, he already had no chance to leave. He was surrounded. There were demons and there were kings. Among them, the Cyan-robed king was here, and so was Jipa. The Lu Duan saber was in Zichen's hands. This was because no one was closer to Gudun than Zichen, and he only needed to use the laws to take the saber. Lu Duan's saber was very heavy in his hand, perhaps because he did not refine it. At this moment, he stood with the saber, looking at these people. "What is the meaning of this?" The Cyan-robed king said coldly, "Cut the crap. Of course, we want you dead." Mayne flew in front of Zichen and transmitted her voice. "I'll use a secret technique. It should be able to send you away." Zichen could hear the decisiveness in Mayne's voice, and he could guess the price she would have to pay for this. Compared to Mayne, Chung Ho, who had not appeared until now, was very disloyal. "There's no need to sacrifice yourself. It's not that bad yet." Chapter 47-48. Everyone seemed to have heard a very funny joke, and they all began to laugh. Some people laughed until their backs were bent. "Don't you know how you killed Gudun? Moreover, you almost lost half of your life when you killed Gudun King. Can't you see? Don't you feel childish to threaten us with such words? You're about to die, and you still dare to threaten us with nonsense. Do you think we're stupid?" The green-robed king's eyes surged with murderous intent, and he said indifferently, "Today, no matter what, you will die." He had previously rushed straight to the stream, and his reaction was already very fast. Unfortunately, Zichen had beaten him to it, so he was naturally angry. All along, he had wanted to get a weapon that was made by his master. Zichen looked at the others. "What about you? Do you all want me to die?" The revered king did not come forward, but still stood in the distance. Lejinka was also quietly watching the development of the situation in front of him. His expression did not change much. Only the appearance of the lightning controlling technique had moved him a little. However, he could not understand the current situation. Zichen had insisted on not leaving before, so where did his confidence come from? During this time, he glanced into the distance. Chang Ho was sitting in a very high position and did not interfere from the beginning. Even that unknown bird had appeared, but Chang Ho was indifferent. This made him wonder what the other party meant. Or rather, the two were not friends at all. This was because he knew a little about what happened back then. However, these doubts were well concealed by him. No matter what Zichen's confidence was, and what Chang Ho's plan was, if they continued to watch, everything would eventually be revealed. Everyone's eyes were cold, and killing intent surged around them. Everyone who came here naturally hoped that Zichen would die. Looking at everyone, Zichen said again, "There are so many of you, and I only have one source of laws and a knife. How should we distribute them? This is our business. It has nothing to do with you." "You'd better think about how you're going to die," Jeepa responded coldly. Zichen nodded and said, "It seems that you all want me to die. Then, to be blunt, we are now enemies. I, Zichen, have never shown mercy to my enemies. Goduin is the clearest example. So, I'll give everyone a final warning. Don't go against me or you'll die. I don't care if you believe it or not, but I do. You talk too much. Kill him." Jeepa was getting impatient. Zichen nodded and said, "All right, I'll try to persuade you again and again. Since you won't listen, then don't blame me. Everyone, please take a look at this." Zichen reached into his bosom, and in the next moment, a seed emitting the light of thunder appeared in his hand. Previously, Goduin had died at the hands of Lei Ting, so this bolt of lightning caused everyone who was about to attack to pause. The thunderbolt seed left Zichen's palm and landed in front of him, instantly sinking into the ground. The ground trembled, and a great commotion spread out. An enormous lightning tree grew out of thin air. It took up almost all of the space in the surroundings. The beings surrounding Zichen immediately retreated in the face of such a change. Their expressions had already changed. Right at this moment, bolts of lightning shot out from the lightning tree, heading straight for the crowd. Other than Zichen and Mein, who were under the tree and were unaffected, everyone else was baptized by the lightning. This included the monkey. Bathed in lightning, the monkey stared blankly at the lightning tree, as if he had lost his mind. Exclamations rang out one after another. The branches of the lightning tree extended forward like lightning snakes, quickly reaching for everyone. "What's this?" Maine looked at this lightning world, her eyes full of shock. "My true life-saving means," Zichen said proudly. "Looks like the effects have far exceeded my expectations." In the distance, Chang Ho finally raised his eyelids. He's finally not stupid. Looks like Frost Maiden's advice has been effective. Then Chang Ho stood up, stretched, and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. His gaze swept across the lightning, and he sneered. "Isn't it funny? What **T scheme? In the face of absolute power, it can't withstand a single blow. Since he can come here, he's destined to not die." Then Chang Ho looked at Zichen. "But this kid is also very devious. He deliberately injured himself and then lured them here to die. It seems that no matter which era he was born in, his bad character is the same." Chang Ho finally looked in Lei Jinka's direction. He saw the uncontrollable shock on Lei Jinka's face and snorted disdainfully. Finally, he looked at the huge lightning tree. "Even if it's just a reluctant incarnation, it's already over." Zichen had come to this world with a total of 13 trump cards. Among them, he had wasted a total of 10 at Main's place. Those 10 trump cards were barely enough to deal with the big bird and allow him to survive. Of the remaining 3 trump cards, Zichen had used one when he killed that young man. However, That young man was only a Dao protector of the Yen realm. Now that Zi Chun had grown to a level comparable to a king, what was the use of the remaining 2 trump cards? Thus, all this while, Zi Chun had almost never counted on this trump card. It was only after a chat with Sister Frost Maiden that he realized how extraordinary this trump card was, coupled with the fact that his comprehension of the laws was getting stronger and stronger. It could become stronger as Zi Chen's power increased. In other words, the strength of the trump card didn't depend on the power of the trump card, but on Zi Chen's strength. Therefore, Zi Chen had used his trump card this time. He had estimated that he would need to use 2 of them. However, it seemed like the effect was not bad. Lei Jinka looked at the lightning tree. He wasn't shocked by the power of the lightning tree, but by the origin of the lightning seed. This was because he knew how the Holy Thunder Clan's lightning tree had come about. He also knew very well that after Zichen had left, he hadn't looked for the lightning tree again. The origin of the lightning seed had to be considered. At the same time, he also understood where Cheng Ho's calmness came from. What is this? The respectable king was deeply shaken, because he sensed the auras disappearing one after another, including the king's. Why was this tree that had appeared out of thin air so terrifying that it could kill kings? It's something from our world. Lei Jinka tried his best to speak calmly. It's similar to a clone. The High King said, even a clone is so terrifying? Then how strong is the main body? This time the High King was shocked. He had thought that there was nothing special about that world because the outstanding people who had come here were all SOO. However, today, seeing the lightning, Tree changed his mind. After the lightning, Tree disappeared. Only one person had successfully escaped. It was Guqing because he had a sword from his previous master. It was with this sword that he had successfully broken out. He was the only one who had survived. Chapter 47-49. There were many corpses on the ground, but there were even more spectators around. Previously, when Zi Chan was heavily injured, many people wanted to take advantage of the situation and rushed forward. However, there were even more people who had scruples, such as the status of the honorable king and accountability after the incident, so they stayed where they were. They were lucky. They were not killed. King Giching stood in the distance with many wounds on his body. He was also lucky. In fact, he should not have gone forward because he had the weapon left behind by his master. However, at that moment, he did not know why he was hot-headed and went forward. He was originally fearless, but who knew that he would almost lose his life? Of the 18 kings, other than Gaduin, who was killed previously, 7 of them were killed. Only Giching survived. 6 kings and dozens of demons were killed by the uncle. Zi Qin and Mein stood there, the latter almost petrified. His mission here was to kill kings, even if it was just one. Now, 7 of them were dead. Although he was not the one who killed them, it did not conflict with his mission. The law reappeared and came to Zi Chen's side to heal his injuries. After the previous method, he believed that the others would be more cautious and would not be fooled again. Therefore, there was no need to let him continue to be injured. While he was healing, Zi Qin looked at Giching in the distance. You are lucky. That sword is good stuff. Does it have a name? He waved the flowing blade in his hand a few times. King Giching's face was gloomy as he stared at Zi Qin indifferently without saying a word. Zi Chen's eyes suddenly turned cold. I hate idiots like you the most. If I see you again in 3 breaths, you will die. King Giching's expression changed and anger appeared on his face. Just when everyone thought that he might fight with Zi Qin for his dignity, he turned and left. Zi Chen snorted in disdain. Idiot, you don't have any guts. You want to steal from others? The surrounding people remained silent as they looked at Zi Chen in shock. A king was scolded and left just like that. Zi Chen blew a breath in front of him. The law disintegrated the body, leaving behind the glowing bones. What, you want to steal my things too? Zi Chen said, Then let's do it. To be honest, I only have one of those things to save my life. Once I use it, it's gone. Now, I'm the same as everyone else. Everyone's expression changed, but not many people really believed Zichen's words. Even if they did, no one had the guts to step forward and attack. After all, the current Zichen was equivalent to a true king. One person was obviously not enough. At the very least, several kings had to come together. But what if Zichen had a similar trick up his sleeve? Wouldn't that be suicide? Therefore, when they saw Zichen picking up the corpses, they retreated one after another. At this point, they no longer had any thoughts about Zichen's origin of laws. During this period of time, many king tiers were extremely regretful. Who would have thought that, in the end, they would have raised a tiger that had become a huge problem? If they had known earlier, they would not have sent out their own guardians. Almost everyone left because, if they continued to stay, they might be killed by Zichen. The respectable king was still standing there. Zichen clasped his fists at the respectable king. His attitude towards this existence was much better. The respectable king smiled and nodded. Then he clasped his fists in response and left. Lejinka also left. In the blink of an eye, everyone left. After Zichen kept all the spoils of war, he reevaluated the flow breaker in his hand. This was the most powerful weapon he had ever seen. He had to admit that the ruler of this world was extremely high. Otherwise, he would not have been able to forge such a weapon. Monkey stuck his head out, but his expression had returned to normal. Previously, Lejinka had also attacked it, but it was not sure if it did not feel threatened, but it stopped in the end. Zichen came in front of Monkey and squatted there, looking at it. "Kid, what are you looking at?" Monkey stared at Zichen. Zichen smiled and said, "I just noticed that Senior's expression changed. Could it be that you know that tree?" Monkey shook his head. I don't know. Zichen asked again, "Then, Senior, do you know which realm the ruler of this world belongs to?" Monkey shook his head again. I don't know. Obviously, after being probed by Zichen, Monkey became alert and did not tell Zichen any valuable information. Then Senior should know about the spiritual realm, right? Monkey still shook his head. He had made up his mind not to say anything. Zichen scratched his head and said, "That's boring. Senior spoke so straightforwardly before, but now you're so hesitant. You're a little petty. I'm thinking that Senior was locked up here by the ruler of this world, Gushan. Could it be because you're petty?" Bullsh *T. Monkey was angry. "Kid, what do you know?" Zichen smiled. "It's because I don't know, that's why I'm asking. Why don't you help me? See what I don't know, and what I'm pretending to know." Maine was not far away and did not disturb him. She was in a good mood. Chung Ho did not come over either. His mood was average. Monkey looked at Zichen and said, "Who's the strongest in the spiritual realm now?" "Sacred Venerables." Zichen said, "No, it's the ancient Sacred Venerables. They're the strongest." Ancient Sacred Venerables? Monkey's eyes were filled with doubt. Clearly, he was not familiar with this name and realm. Zichen said, "They're equivalent to the leaders of this world. Those from before were demons. The one I killed was a king. He's slightly stronger than the demons, but they should be in the same realm." With this explanation, Monkey understood. He said, "It seems that I missed something." "What did I miss?" Zichen asked. "I've seen that tree before. I didn't expect to see a wisp of its incarnation this time. Perhaps it can't be considered missed." Monkey said, "Gushan did something very impressive back then, but it also tied a knot. It seems that this knot will eventually be untied." Monkey looked at Zichen and said seriously, "If the person who can untie the knot is you, then you should think twice." Zichen was confused. He did not know what Monkey was talking about. He asked again. Monkey said, "There's no point in telling you now. It might even bring about negative effects. Let's just let nature take its course." Zichin asked a few more questions, but he did not get an answer. Zichin finally asked, Senior, how should I address you? Scarlet Ape, what's in the other levels? Zichin asked again. Chapter 4750. Zichin bade farewell to Scarlet Ape and wanted to go to the third level to take a look. The little black snake on the first level was called Eight-Headed, and the second level was Scarlet Ape. What about the third level? Would there be any new discoveries after entering? However, Zichin searched for a long time, but he couldn't find the entrance to the third level. This left him somewhat surprised. There were a total of 7 levels here, and he had only reached the second level. Zichin was filled with anticipation for the next few levels. He released his nomological perception to find the entrance to the next level, but he didn't find anything. After searching for a long time without finding anything, Zichin walked back and came to Scarlet Ape's side. Why are you back? Scarlet Ape looked at Zichin. I didn't find the entrance. Zichin looked somewhat depressed. Scarlet Ape chuckled and didn't say anything else to discourage him. Therefore, Zichin sat down cross-legged and took out the cracked short sword to repair it. Upon seeing this scene, Scarlet Ape asked in confusion, Don't you have broken flow? Why are you refining it? Broken flow is Gushan's weapon. In his early years, Gushan used it to fight. It's a truly high-quality existence. It's much better than your short sword. Zichin said, I have a friend. She's also a Dao protector here, and she's a local. This short sword might not be of much significance to me, but it's really good for her. Furthermore, it's very suitable for her. Therefore, after repairing it, I'll leave it to her. I didn't expect you to be such a nice person. Scarlet Ape could not help but sneer as he watched Zichin slowly repair the short sword. I have no choice. Back then, more than 10 Dao protectors wanted my life, but she chose to cooperate with me. She trusts me so much, so I naturally have to repay her before leaving. Zichin said, Besides, I've already killed all the Dao protectors. She's the only one left. Once I leave, what if those monarchs attack her? It's still excellent to have a short sword to protect herself. I didn't expect you to be so thoughtful. Scarlet Ape curled his lips. Chan Ho did not approach this place, nor did he cultivate. Mei Yin stayed with him. Zichin took out the beast bone and refined it bit by bit. The cracks on the dagger were slowly mended. The atmosphere was silent and there was no sound. When there was no one around, Scarlet Ape did not find it boring. But now that there was someone around, it began to feel bored. Ha, kid, do you know what a demon is? Scarlet Ape suddenly spoke. Zichin said, Aren't you one of them? I mean, except for me. That Gaduin I killed earlier, judging from the bones he left behind, should be a demon. There are other kings who died as well. Judging from their skeletons, they all seem to be demons. Zichin said, In the spiritual realm there are many demons. One of my friends can take human form at will. Generally speaking, demons are not humans. Looks like you know quite a lot, kid, Scarlet Ape said. Then do you know how many clans there are in this world? The 3 races. Zichin answered without hesitation. God, devil, spirit. Then what about demons? Where do you place them? Naturally, they belong to whichever realm they live in. For example, in this war between the god, devil, and spirit clans, the demons living in the spiritual realm will help the spiritual realm fight. The demons living in the devil realm are tainted with devil chi and naturally fight for the devil realm. I see. Scarlet Ape sank into deep thought. Zichin suddenly stopped and turned to look at Scarlet Ape. Senior, what are you trying to say? Scarlet Ape suddenly said, Be careful of demons. Zichin nodded and answered carelessly, Oh! Kid, don't you find it strange? Scarlet Ape was very surprised. What's wrong with that? I'm a spiritual, but I'm also wary of spiritual. Many of my enemies are spiritual, Zichin said indifferently. Scarlet Ape opened its mouth, wanting to say something, but for some reason it stopped. Chen continued to repair the dagger, so he did not see the change in Scarlet Ape's expression. "Senior, why are you imprisoned here?" Chen suddenly asked. "Me?" Scarlet Ape smiled. "It's been too long. I've forgotten. I seem to have gone crazy from killing and lost my mind. Gushan brought me here." Chen looked back at Scarlet Ape. "Are you killing enemies?" Scarlet Ape said, "I forgot." "I think so." Chen stopped and asked curiously, "Senior, why didn't you ask me to save you?" Scarlet Ape said disdainfully, "If you could save me, you would have saved Eight-Headed long ago. Why would you wait until now?" Chen said, "Eight-Headed can't. I don't trust it. If I really saved it, I probably wouldn't be able to come up alive." "Then you dare to save me?" "To be honest, I don't really dare, so I've never tried. However, if there is a chance, I don't mind saving Senior. After all, I feel that Senior is not bad after chatting with you for a while." The opportunity that Chen was talking about was when he had nothing to worry about. Maybe there will be a chance. Scarlet Ape smiled. "Where is the entrance to the third floor?" Chen suddenly asked. "I don't know. Go find it yourself. If you can find it, it's your fortune. If you can't, don't be sad. Maybe you're not strong enough." Chen did not try to find the entrance to the third floor. Instead, he stayed where he was and continued to repair the dagger. The others still stayed on this floor. Many people began to look for the entrance to the third floor, but they found nothing. After a period of time, the short sword looked much better than before. Most of the cracks on it had been repaired. Chen sheathed his short sword, stood up, and stretched his back. Scarlet Ape glanced at Chen but did not say anything. Chen said, "Go wait for some friends at the entrance. They should be here soon." After saying goodbye to Scarlet Ape, Chen walked toward the entrance. Although he could not return to the first floor, the entrance was in the same general direction. Zhong Hao walked over from the other side, looking as if he had not woken up. "Why aren't you cultivating?" Chen asked. "No rush. I'll go back and cultivate slowly," Chun Ho said casually. "Anyway, when I go back, I'll be a proper demon supreme. I'll have enough power to unify the 3 realms." Chen said, "What if there are demons in the god and demon races?" "So what? They definitely don't have as many as we do," Chung Ho said with a smile. "I didn't expect to come here by accident and improve so much." "Then you should take some inner cores back. That way, everyone can break through. Won't it be easier to deal with the dangers that might appear in the future?" "That's true." "Okay." The lazy Chung Ho finally moved, but he was not very diligent. Chen, on the other hand, was killing the monkeys here and there, taking their inner cores. After arriving at the entrance, he stopped and continued to repair the dagger. He had already made up his mind to leave the dagger to Shangling. As for the origin of the laws, because it had become his own power, he could not separate it, so Chen had to take it with him. Chen had not refined flow break yet. Chapter 47:51. Looking at the monkey's inner core in front of him, Chen was slightly surprised. Last time, Mei-yin left without saying anything, so Chen thought it had left. He didn't expect it to go to kill the monkey. "This is my thanks to you," Mei-yin said directly. Chen knew it well. It might not understand if he said too much, so he didn't stand on ceremony and took all the inner cores, accepting its thanks. Then he looked at Mei-yin. "You still want to kill a king?" Mei-yin said, "I'm not sure. When we came, I said that as long as I killed one, I would win. But now, seeing you kill a few kings, I'm hesitating." Looking at the troubled Mei-yin, Chen smiled. "There's no rush. Go and confirm it after we leave here. If you really want to kill a few kings, I'll do it." "Really?" Mei-yin was pleasantly surprised. Yes, Zichen nodded and smiled. Then wait here. I'll go find some more inner cores for you. With that, Mei-yin turned into light and disappeared. Be careful. If there's any danger, run here. I won't be going anywhere for now. Seeing Mei-yin leave, Zichen reminded her. Mei-yin turned into light and disappeared. Seemingly influenced by Mei-yin's diligence, Cheng-ho also left at this time. The cracks on the short sword were finally repaired, but its luster was still not back to how it was before. The same went for its power. Zichen put it away. The refinement had come to an end. Then he took out the flow breaker. It was said that this was the weapon Gushan used in battle. The moment it appeared, a murderous aura swept out. Feeling the sharp aura, Zichen was very satisfied. With this blade, whether it was the bones left behind by kings or demons, they were useless. Its quality was high enough that it didn't need any additional refinement. Zichen split a part of his power and started refining the flow breaker. During the refining process, the flow breaker's aura stirred up the surrounding space and began to distort. The ripples shook and spread out layer by layer. At first, the range was small, but as the ripples continued to appear, they began to expand. Strand after strand, layer after layer, spread out. Many of them had sensed the ripples. Through sensing the aura, they could guess where the ripples came from. For a moment, all kinds of complicated emotions welled up in his heart. After arriving here, the Honorable King and Lei Jinke did not gain anything. Instead, they witnessed Zichen's growth. Currently, Zichen's true battle prowess was comparable to a king's. If he still had that life-saving trump card, he would already be comparable to a high king's. They were currently searching for the entrance to the 3rd level, but just like Zichen, they couldn't find it even after searching for a long time. This included the revered kings as well. None of them had gained anything. Unable to find the entrance, and unable to find a way to leave, even the calm, honorable king began to feel anxious. Suddenly, a ripple surged out, appearing in the perception of the High King. The revered king's expression changed as he turned to look at Lei Jinke. Lei Jinke's gaze was already fixed on the source of the aura. It's the aura of the main weapon. The High King said, "It seems that Zichen has begun to refine that weapon. Who would have thought that there would be such a huge commotion?" Lei Jinke was a little emotional. This time, coming here has truly broadened my horizons. Lei Jinke's words were not spoken casually. They were from the bottom of his heart. After arriving here, he had become a demon. This was a realm that had never appeared before in history. He had gained quite a lot. With this realm as a foundation, he was even more convinced that the other world was real. The coordinates back then also led to that place, and the ruler of the alternate world, Gushan, had also gone to that place in the end. Zichen has improved so quickly since arriving here. Could it be that there's something special about him? The revered king said, "It seems that everything in this world is extremely friendly to him. Others used countless years to reach this point, but he used an extremely short amount of time." Lei Jinke suddenly recalled something. It was the matter of Zichen's arrival in this world. He knew a lot about Zichen, but he did not know what Zichen had experienced and discovered after arriving here. Therefore, he had always suspected that Zichen had obtained the coordinates back then from here. The ripples were still surging and had already covered the entire 2nd level. The Green Robe King, who had already left, stopped at a place where no one was around. Although he said that he was stopping, he was actually hiding. In front of everyone, Zichen had told him to scram and then left. Now that he thought about it, it was really embarrassing. He'd guessed the reason for the phenomenon before him. It was surely because Zichen was refining a weapon. According to his understanding of Zichen, there wouldn't be more than 2 guards by his side at this moment. Could he catch them off guard? But it was just a thought. In the end, he still did not have the courage to follow the aura and attack Zichen. The other kings were the same. No matter how much they coveted the item in Zichen's hands, they still restrained themselves. After all, compared to opportunities, one's life was still the most precious. When the ripples came, Scarlet Ape opened its eyes. Its gaze seemed to pass through the mountains and looked in the direction of Zichen. It thought of a conversation with Gushan back then. If I can come back, I will definitely let you go. If I don't, you can only wait for the chaotic times. How chaotic are the chaotic times? Very chaotic. How chaotic is very chaotic. When demons run amok. No one knew that in that era, Gushan had almost single-handedly quelled the chaotic times. The ripples lasted for a very, very long time and slowly weakened. Everyone knew that this was because Zichen was about to finish refining the weapon, so they had missed the best time to ambush him. At the entrance, as the last ripple disappeared, Zichen opened his eyes. Light flowed on the stream, and its aura was still terrifying and oppressive. But to Zichen, it was no longer a threat. After refining its sharpness, Zichen had a clearer understanding of it. At this moment, rays of brilliance appeared a few hundred feet away from Zichen. They were the people he was waiting for. Everyone finally came from the first floor to the second floor. As soon as they appeared, everyone felt the oppressive aura. It was as if they were facing a great enemy. Then the oppressive aura disappeared and they saw Zichen. Their expressions were relaxed as they walked forward. Zichen explained the situation on this floor to everyone and then led them deeper into the cave. Next, I will go to the third floor and take you to a relatively safe place. He brought everyone to the place where Scarlet Ape was suppressed. On the way, Zichen gave the short sword to Xiangling. Xiangling immediately declined and finally took it. Through the rules, she sensed that the short sword was damaged. She was very shocked and secretly guessed the situation Zichen encountered at that time. After arranging everyone here, Zichen went to the third floor. Just as he was refining the stream, he sensed the entrance to the third floor through the ripples that surged out. Chapter 4752. Zichen arranged for everyone to stay with Qi Yan. Qi Yan did not have any objections. After all, he could not move freely. Looking at Zichen's friends, Qi Yan's gaze finally landed on the demon ape. The two were somewhat similar. The only difference was that the demon ape had scales all over its body. Zichen instructed everyone to take note of some things. In the meantime, he told Xiangling that the king of her kingdom had come. After that, Zichen left. This time he really left. No one could find the entrance to the third level. Only Zichen could vaguely sense its location through the aura of heaven and earth when he was refining Flowing Break. After leaving Qi Yan's place, Zichen headed north. Halfway there, he saw a group of people walking towards him. It was the Honorable King and Leijinka. Zichen clasped his fists at the two of them and bowed, respectfully. The Honorable King clasped his fists in return and nodded with a smile. Leijinka walked forward and looked at Zichen. "You're going to the third level?" "Yes." Zichen did not deny it. The Honorable King's expression changed slightly. As this was Leijinka's guess, he came here to ask about it. He did not expect it to be true. At that moment, he was even more impressed with this mister. "Sir, do you want to come with me?" Zichen looked at Leijinka. Leijinka shook his head and said, "No, you go by yourself. I'm here to tell you something." "What is it?" Zichen was curious. Leijinka said, "If possible, find a coordinate. That's a passage to another world." "Immortal Spell World? You know about it?" Leijinka's face was filled with surprise. Zichen shook his head and said, "I'm not sure. I heard about it from the monkey, but I don't know where it is." "Looks like the talkative monkey treats you well." Leijinka smiled and said, "Yes, it's the Immortal Spell World. Back then, you had the coordinates of the passage to the Immortal Spell World. That's the future of the spirit race. I hope you can find it again. The future of the spirit race? Zichen asked in confusion. Why not the saint spirit realm? The world we live in is our foundation. The most important thing now is to chase the god fiends out, just like in the past. Lei Jinka smiled faintly and said, Accompany me for a walk. Zichen followed beside Lei Jinka. Why did the gods and devils invade the saint spirit realm? Do you think they are after the territory of the saint spirit realm? If it's really that simple, we can carve out some regions for them, since the saint spirit world is so sparse. Even if all of them came to the saint spirit realm, it would be enough to accommodate them. Lei Jinka said as he walked. Zichen shook his head, disagreeing with this statement. Those who are not of our race will have different intentions. We will never be able to coexist. What about the Saint Devil region? What about the divine realm? Lei Jinka smiled as he looked at Zichen. They possess the bloodline of the devil race and the god race, respectively. Why are they still living in our world? Also, your friends are from the god race and the devil race, right? They are different. They were born and bred in this world. This is their home. When the god fiends arrive here, the saint spirit realm will also be their home. They will also be like your friends, protecting this world. Lei Jinka suddenly laughed. Look, why are the two of us discussing this? We're now talking about the coordinates. The real purpose of the god fiends invading the saint spirit realm is to enter the immortal arts realm, because only the saint spirit realm has the path to the immortal arts realm. You yourself come from the myriad worlds. You should know very well how attractive the saint spirit realm is to the myriad worlds. The same is true for the immortal arts realm to the god fiend realm. In this current world, the saint venerate is the limit. But once you enter the immortal arts realm, you can break through this limit of cultivation. This is what all the saint venerates are after. Lei Jinka finally looked at Zichen. If you want peace in the three realms, you have to find the coordinates of the entrance to the immortal arts realm. Once the immortal arts realm is opened, the chaos and strife in this world will naturally be resolved. My lord, what do you mean by looking for me today? Go up level by level. Find the coordinates and bring them back. Let the three realms truly achieve peace and coexistence. Let this world be free of conflict and war. Although the two of them had different ideals, their final thoughts were the same. Zichen could not refute this. After cupping his fists at Lei Jinka, Zichen turned to leave. But after taking a few steps, he suddenly stopped. He turned back and asked, Since that is the case, my lord, why don't you come with me? Lei Jinka smiled and said, You are a Tao protector. You are someone who has been blessed by another world. If there really are coordinates, I believe only you can find them. Zichen nodded again and left. The others did not follow. They just watched as Zichen walked away. Lei Jinka came in front of the Honorable King. The Honorable King smiled bitterly. I didn't expect that the Honorable King's understanding of this world would be inferior to that of an outsider. Everything has a reason. As Zichen walked towards the entrance of the third level, the others who had obtained clues looked at Zichen from afar, but no one dared to approach. They could only watch as Zichen walked in a certain direction and followed from afar. The Honorable King and Lei Jinka did not intend to enter the next level, but that did not mean that the others did not intend to do so. After walking for a while, Zichen finally stood in an open space. The surroundings were empty. There was nothing. Zichen's hand flashed and Flow Breaker appeared. An oppressive aura was released from the blade. This aura caused the expressions of the people in the distance to change, including the kings. Some of the kings even felt a sense of alarm in their hearts. It seemed that this Lu Duan in Zichen's hands was even more powerful than when Gaduin had used it. Zichen held the blade and slashed forward. A dazzling blade, light appeared in everyone's vision. The entire space was split in two by Zichen. A passage appeared in front of them. There was a commotion in the distance. The people did not expect the passage to be hidden so deeply, but Ziqin did not move. Of course, the others did not dare to move forward rashly. The previous slash had split space. Perhaps in the next moment, their bodies would be split. Ziqin put away his blade and looked into the distance. This made them even more afraid to act rashly. Ziqin walked towards a passage and his figure disappeared quickly. Seeing this, the others hesitated for a moment. Then they walked forward. After all, they could not follow Ziqin too closely. But just as they approached, before they could enter the space, they saw that the previous entrance had disappeared. Everyone was stunned. Then, someone immediately tried to open a new passage. But to no avail. Welcome to Sky Tiger City. Chapter 47:53. A powerful attack appeared in front of an evil demon and slashed towards the empty space in front of him. Wherever the attack passed, a few clear slashes were left in the air. The tunnel did not appear. The evil demon could not help but be startled. The people nearby all attacked, but it was to no avail. This made the group of evil demons a little depressed, because Ziqin had entered from here. Why couldn't he enter now? Get out of the way! A cold voice sounded. King Giching appeared behind the crowd with a sword in his hand. This sword was also one of the main weapons and was very powerful. The evil demons retreated. King Giching slashed out with his sword, leaving a clear slash in the air. The space was slashed open by the sword. However, before the crowd could reveal an excited expression, they were shocked to find that there was no tunnel after the space was slashed open. The space closed up again. The crowd was puzzled. Even King Giching was startled. This should not be happening. Ziqin had just left. Ziqin looked at the girl in front of him. She was about 10 to 8 years old and looked very cute. She smiled at Ziqin, revealing her small canine teeth. Her smile was very sweet. Sky Tiger City. Ziqin could not believe her words and looked at the little girl in a daze. Yes, we welcome you. The little girl looked at Ziqin with unconcealable excitement. My name is Meow Meow. I'm the receptionist here. Does young master want to enter the city? Receptionist? Are there many people here? Ziqin asked. Not many. Miss Meow Meow shook her head. Ziqin frowned. Is this really the third level of the pagoda of confinement? If he was not wrong, in recent times, no, in the past countless years, he was the first one to arrive here. Since she said not many people were here, did that mean there were others here? Who was it? Even the honorable king did not come here. Who else had the ability to come here? Does young master want to enter the city? Miss Meow Meow asked again, looking very excited. Wait a moment. Ziqin turned around and looked behind him. He remembered that there were many people watching from afar. Perhaps they would follow the entrance. As long as he saw them, Ziqin would be able to determine whether or not this was the third floor of the pagoda of confinement. Meow Meow stood at the side and waited patiently. Occasionally, she would sneak a peek at Ziqin. Ziqin didn't wait for the others to come in, which made him feel uneasy. Every time Ziqin looked at Meow Meow, she would smile and quickly turn her head away. Young master, are you waiting for a friend? After a long time, Meow Meow finally asked. Ziqin shook his head and said, Let's enter the city. Meow Meow immediately nodded and said politely, Young master, please follow me. In Ziqin's field of vision, there was a huge and magnificent city. This was very different from the things he had encountered on the first 2 floors. Meow Meow, how long have you been in the Sky Tiger City? Ziqin took the initiative to ask on the way. Meow Meow replied, in response to young master's question, I have been in Sky Tiger City for as long as I can remember. However, I haven't been a hostess for a long time. This is because hostess needs to go through many rounds of selection. I have tried many times in the past, but I was always eliminated. Ziqin said, Don't call me young master, just call me Ziqin. This, I'm not used to being called young master. All right then, young master Zichen. Miss Meow Meow happily agreed. Do hostesses need to be selected? Yes, the city lord said that hostess is a very sacred profession. We must go through a strict selection. Meow Meow nodded seriously. Zichen suddenly thought of something and said awkwardly, This is my first time here, so I don't have much money on me. May I know what I need to prepare before entering the city? After all, she was the one who personally came to receive him, so there should be some tips. Miss Meow Meow shook her head. There's no need. Young master just needs to follow me into the city. Then Meow Meow said hesitantly, however, after entering the city, I hope young master won't blame Meow Meow for not serving you well. Zichen smiled and shook his head. At this moment, he was muttering in his heart. As they approached the city gate, Zichen saw that the city gate in front of him was open. At the side of the city gate, there was an old man wearing worn-out armor sitting on a chair and taking a nap. When they were still some distance away, Meow Meow shouted excitedly, Grandpa Wei, Grandpa Wei. The old man woke up from his nap and looked forward. Chen's expression became vigilant. On the path of cultivation, old people were often extraordinary. However, this old man's eyes were lifeless, and his essence, energy, and spirit were all in a state of decline. It was obvious that he was just an ordinary old soldier. It's Meow Meow. The old soldier's eyesight was not very good, so he only recognized Meow Meow when she walked closer. Then he smiled. Are you welcoming a distinguished guest for the city lord? Good, very good. It seems like the heavens are looking after the hard-working and kind people. Meow Meow's face immediately turned red when she heard the old soldier's praise. Zichen cupped his fists at the old man. The old man was a little flattered. He quickly stood up and waved his hand, but he could not do it. The chair was unstable and fell backward. You little fox, where did you find such an idiot? At this moment, a discordant voice sounded from the other side. Zichen turned around and saw a man and a woman walking towards him. The woman was young and beautiful. Her long and narrow eyes glanced at Zichen, then looked at Meow Meow with disdain. Little fox, you can still attract people. It seems like you are not telling the truth. The woman looked at Meow Meow with an unfriendly gaze. Meow Meow was a little uneasy. Herr Stewardess, shut up. Who is your sister? The woman glared at Meow Meow coldly, scaring her into silence. Then the woman looked at Zichen. Foolish young master, don't blame me for not warning you. You have just arrived, and you have been tricked by this little fox. She does not have any ability to help you. Once you enter Sky Tiger City, you will definitely die without any ability to help you. I have a few good sisters, and they are all very capable. If you change your mind now, I will help you. The woman's expression was rather arrogant. No, no. Meow Meow shook her head, her face extremely pale. The old soldier at the side was also a little anxious. Zichen, who was standing at the side, silently took in everything. He shook his head and said no need. Humph, don't worry about the so-called face. In this place you can die at any time. So face is the most worthless thing. The woman said, Although you are a fool, I have to remind you again that I can give you a chance to live. Zichen, who did not understand what was going on, shook his head again. The woman snorted. You don't know how to appreciate kindness. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.